If you've ever made yourself feel better with a good old-fashioned spaghetti and meatballs dinner, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. I'm back. Sorry about yesterday. Really just kind of came out of nowhere. We'll say special thanks to Kevin and 13, who really did a great job holding it down. I hope that you folks enjoyed it and found the rest of the show awesome. And then a special shout out to all of you out there. I got more reach outs from people about feeling better than I expected, and I was not expecting that, and it felt pretty awesome. So appreciate all of you out there. However, we're back. We're ready to go. It's another day on Benzinga's PreMarket Playbook. Intel's got a new CEO. We got the futures under a little bit of pressure here in the pre-market. We're going to break it down like a fraction, figure out what we can trade here today, and close the week out strong. Let's get it. All right, everybody. Hello and welcome back. It's good to be back again. I have no idea exactly what happened, but oh my God, what a difference a day makes. Ivan, welcome back. Good morning. Russia rejects Trump's temporary Ukraine ceasefire. We'll see if that lasts here today. Hopefully that turns around here. We'll have to make some threats at Russia. We'll see. Sabin, good morning. Hello, welcome back. Paul, it's great to see you. Good morning. Jim, welcome back. Good morning. Hellcat, welcome back. Sun-kissed Yogi, welcome back. Prudnika, if I'm pronouncing that correct, welcome back. Allsarts, welcome back. Chuck, it's good to see you. Producer, thank you for everything. Neville, welcome back. Bill, good morning. Good morning. Allsarts has a bit of an echo. Producer, you'll have to let me know. It doesn't sound like that on my end. It sure doesn't look like that, but let me know if we can fix that up. Day Trader, good morning. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you, my man. Again, really, really awkward. Kind of out of nowhere, but I am feeling much, much better. And I ate, and it was delicious. So I don't really think I'm sick. I had an appetite. Bill says you were missed. Appreciate you. I'm back. We'll try not to leave you for very long. Thank you, Hellcat. White Chocolate Mocha, good morning. Coco, good morning. Welcome back. Jonathan, good morning. 3D, Ryan, hope you are feeling better. Indeed, I am. Thank you, 3D. Welcome back. Good morning. I hope you are well here today. Tom, welcome back. It's good to see you. JJ, welcome back. Ed, welcome back. Hisham, welcome back. The real Johnny B, let's go. Welcome back. Brandy, good morning. It's great to see you again. Rafat, good morning. Good to see you. Ben, good morning or good evening from Asia. Welcome, Ben. Hopefully you're in the future there, right? You're in the future there. So it's March 13th evening. Hopefully March 13th was good to you. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the market here. Go through some of the different news that we have and get ready for the open. We have no guests this morning here today, so we'll get 13 on as soon as he's available. Again, big time shout out to him for just kind of handling a curveball and taking it yesterday. That's absolutely awesome. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Jay Harris, good morning. And No Weapons Formed, good morning. Here's your look at the SPY. Here's your look at the market. So far, we are holding above that 10% pullback level. I got a couple of stories here today that are really kind of outlining, hey, maybe we're at the point where we buy the dip. This is kind of what I want to ask you folks. I'll just get out right in front of this. I'll go ahead and make an early call. I don't think so. I do think that we will probably, at minimum, retest this 10% level. I would actually be entirely unsurprised if we punch through the 10% level and then try and rally again. One of the things that we were discussing in happy hour recently was how with some of the other really big sell-offs, like the one around the internet bubble, it sold off. It looked pretty ugly. And then it started to bounce and everyone felt okay. And then the real sell-off came about a month later. That's something that I'm definitely going to keep my eye on here. Not sure if we're going to get the same thing. A lot of the internals now are different and healthier than they were back then, in particularly banks and corporate balance sheets. So I'm not sure that we're really set up for the same thing here. But But I'm not sure that the SPY is really done. One of the stats we're going to go through here today is just how ordinary 10% pullbacks are. So I'm happy that we're holding it here. I would love for this to kind of roll over in pretty short order and retest this. We do have the PPI here today. Oh, lost my note sheet. We do have the PPI here today. So we'll see if we get any type of movement from that. I know the CPI has generally been pretty big, or been a more important data print. Looked like that was all right yesterday. So we'll see what happens here with the PPI. We are expecting that here at 8:30. But what I would really like to see, a move back down to the 10% level. Let's punch through it and then maybe start trading back up. And then we'll keep an eye on whether or not we think that we're really going to kind of roll over and have more of a pronounced downside move. So this is kind of what I'm looking at here. If we look inside, I'll get you some of the other levels that I'm going to pay attention to. I do want to take a look at the yesterday's intraday low. This is going to be about 554.5. Honestly, though, if we break this is not as important as it normally is, because if we break this, I do expect us to test the 10% level, which is not far from where we're at. This is kind of why I think that I would not be surprised at all, really, if we tested that level here today. So we'll see if we end up getting that. Upside level, we will definitely watch yesterday's intraday high. That's got here at just about 562. So that would be one of the upside levels that we're going to take a look at. Okay. Let's start with our first story here. And this is where I want to kind of get your opinion. I want the entire group's opinion here. Producer, we might want to run polls on this. We might want to start that here earlier. Is it time to buy the dip or wait until further clarity on tariffs? Here's what experts are saying amid the ongoing market correction. U.S. stock market has declined this week, except for a bout of respite on Wednesday. This has followed NASDAQ's entry into a correction zone last Thursday. While most analysts have been positive, seeing a buying opportunity amid the fall, some continue to be cautious. Scott Wren is the first quote here that we want to go over. The senior global market strategist at Wells Fargo Advisors said that the firm had been advising investors to exercise patience and wait for opportunities to buy equities on pullbacks. He wrote, quote, "The opportunity has arrived with the current pullback." So this is basically the larger concept that I want to grab the feel for from our group. And then I'll also keep an eye here on FinTwit and see what others think as well. Are we at the point where we should start buying the dip? Are we at the point where we should start buying this pullback? And like I was just outlining a second ago, while I do expect the 10% level to get retested and would be unsurprised if we like kind of punch through that, I still think that there might be pockets where we can actually buy the dip. And this is kind of what I'm looking for. I suspect big cap tech probably has some more flushing to do. We'll see what happens with some of the different AI headlines and stuff that comes out. But I suspect big cap tech probably has a little bit more ways to go down. However, I don't think this is going anywhere. And I think technology in particular as a sector is going to be incredibly important for years to come. So I think that this, when it does end up bottoming, I think this is actually a really good spot to deploy money. Well, I do see some of the AI bubble bursting. I suppose I can use those terms. I don't think AI is going anywhere either. And I think that some of its biggest developments are probably ones that we can't necessarily forecast. And I would expect that to have a massive positive effect on some of these stocks. So dollar cost averaging into some of these stocks that you want to hold for the long term, I see why he's making a case for that now. Scott Wren here is not a short-term day trader. He's going to be someone that's going to take a more long-term and calculated approach to things. So buying here at a 10% pullback or scaling into some of those positions does make sense, even if you disagree with them. Quote, "We see the current pullback as an opportunity to add exposure to equities and suggest that clients bring their U.S. mid-cap exposure up to a favorable or overweight allocation relative to their strategic long-term target weighting." So again, we've seen the IWM really kind of lead the way down. The IWM is definitely in bear market territory, more so than the NASDAQ and the SPY. And so while that's small caps here and he's talking about mid caps, it seems like the goal here is to try and add companies that are on a discount that might not be part of the big cap tech area, especially big cap in general, but big cap tech especially. So I see exactly where he's going here. And to me, it sure seems like it's this comment kind of makes me feel like he thinks the worst is over here. And this is kind of what I wanted to discuss here, because I know with a lot of tariff stuff and political stuff affecting the market, it's obviously very, very emotional. There's swings from side to side, the whole 9 yards. So I get it all. It just seems like maybe we're starting to get some whispers that the worst of this is over. In fact, on CNBC today, I had no idea this was going to happen, but on CNBC this morning when I woke up, I think there was a call from Morgan Stanley that the worst of this might be over. I guess I was a little shocked to see a couple of those early on. But producer, maybe we should run that. Oh, you already got one up. Beautiful. Okay, I'll go ahead and vote in that here in a sec. Let me just keep rolling here. Meanwhile, acknowledging how unsettled investors were, the billionaire investor and founder of Barron Capital, Ron Barron, spoke about the current market level and said that, quote, he can't believe how cheap stocks are, end quote. Well, gosh, things really happen quickly in this business. We've been talking about stocks being overpriced for a long time, high price to earnings multiples across various swaths of different stocks, including a lot of those technology stocks. We've outlined in particular that semiconductor stocks, which traditionally enjoyed low teens, high single-digit price to earnings multiples, are now above 30 and 20 in some cases, really kind of leading to the thought that, boy, these stocks really do have a ways to come back in. Someone said it here yesterday that I can't remember who it was, and I'm sorry about that. Like I said, it was really, really foggy yesterday. Someone here said that we might not see some of these semiconductors come all the way back into traditional multiples, especially given the AI theme. And I think that that's really smart. I think that that's true. I don't think we should expect NVIDIA to trade down to a 9 PE. Maybe it does temporarily because of some other extraneous factors, but generally speaking, I think some of these semiconductor stocks, well, they will come back towards more towards the average level. I don't think we're going to go all the way back to where we were prior to AI. So that's something else to consider here when looking for a buy spot. Ron Barron's brilliant. He's worth way more than I am. He's done a really good job in the market for a long time. So if he says that he can't believe how cheap stocks are, that's notable. The one thing that's left out of here, which stocks are cheap? And that's something that we can go ahead and figure out. According to Alex, I'm gonna butcher this. So any of you Eastern Europeans that can help correct me on this name, please do so. Alex Sapev. I'm sorry, Alex. No disrespect. I just can't pronounce your name. The chief strategy officer for B2 Prime Group. The markets have experienced a similar or larger corrections nearly every year. And this is definitely something that I wanted to focus on here, including this decline that could simply reflect normal fluctuations rather than signaling deeper trouble. Now, I know with the headlines that we're getting, with the unpredictability of the current administration, with what feels like a trade war going on with multiple countries, and then a real conflict going on across Europe, I can understand why a lot of people would feel that there's deeper trouble. But again, we'll see where we end up. Here, it does look like we're still kind of in the regular pullback area. I'm curious to see if we pull back anymore. Quote, investors should watch key economic indicators closely, but a pullback alone isn't necessarily a sign of an impending downturn. It's more likely a part of a regular market adjustment. Now, that's something else that we have been talking about for what feels like over a year. This has been over 12 months. We've been talking about how the market really kind of does need a reset. There was a ton of stimulus money and a ton of COVID money, some of which was unspent, that really kind of moved into the market. Now we're getting that process of some of that money moving back out. A regular market adjustment or just straight up a market adjustment seems spot on to me. So that really resonated. Charlie Bello, whose stats we've shared quite a bit here, the chief market strategist at Creative Planning, reiterated in an X post that the S&P 500 index has returned an average of 10% per year since 1928, despite an average intra-year drawdown of 16%. So this is really important. So even in years where we draw down significantly, and I would say significant is anything past the 10% correction level. In this case, he's showing you, or he's giving you the stat of 16%. even in those years, the average return is 10%. Now, obviously, all of us here, all of us that are active and trying to take an active approach to our financial future, we're all trying to not just beat the S&P 500 returns, but smash the S&P 500 returns. So I understand if you want to, or if you're looking or trying to get a better return than 10%. The key here, though, is that even when we have some of these downturns, we should not give it up. We should not adjust our long-term plan here, because even in those years, we're likely to see at minimum 10%, in some cases even more. Similarly, Mahajan, the investment strategist at Edward Jones, stated in her note, quote, keep in mind that in any given year, 1 to 3 pullbacks are normal in the 5 to 15% range. And historically, these have led to buying opportunities. So there you go. This is why you hear traders, especially myself and pretty much anyone else, say we really want the market to come in. Like, we want there to be a sell-off. No, we're not rooting for other people to get hurt. We're not rooting for people to lose money. We really want to be able to buy quality companies at attractive levels. And if 5 to 15% is a normal pullback level, giddy up. Let's do that. And let's give ourselves some better entry on some of these quality stocks. That way, we might not have to chase some of the smaller, junkier stocks, and we can offset long-term stock plans that might not be working as quickly as we had hoped. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, OMDS. LOL. Anyway, analysts warning caution. It wouldn't be the same if we didn't look at both sides here. As some of President Donald Trump's tariffs have gone into effect, the remaining reciprocal tariffs will be levied on April 2nd. And while tariffs are one of the factors causing uncertainty in the markets, economist Jeremy Siegel cautioned investors to stay away from aggressive buying. Interesting. So we've got some analysts saying, yeah, maybe we should start looking at buying. And Jeremy Siegel here saying, well, stay away from the aggressive buying. Well, what constitutes aggressive buying? Yeah, I don't think you should be jumping in full port into anything right now, even short instruments. But I think that nibbling on some companies that you have a very good long-term approach on, I don't really think that that's a stupid move here. And it sounds to me, Jeremy's trying to be a little bit more on the cautious side. But even in these comments, I think he would just say, just don't be buying right now, right? Like, wait this out. But instead he's saying, don't do aggressive buying, because I think even he understands that a pullback like this might actually provide a buying opportunity. Billionaire Ray Dalio, while speaking at the Converge Live conference hosted by CNBC in Singapore, said that the current pullback was not because of tariffs or DeepSeek, but because of the stock market prices affected by the present value of future cash flows. Quote, it's going down because of concerns of the present value of the discounted cash flows. A lot of ofs in there. Sorry about that. End quote. He said, hinting at higher valuations. Well, this is kind of what we're waiting for. We're all kind of hinting at that, right? We all kind of thought that valuations were a tad high, and we're waiting for that to come back in. Howard Marks, in his latest memo, Gimme Credit, endorsed debt investments over S&P 500. Quote, the current levels of offered yields implies higher returns from credit than S&P 500, with returns that are contractual and thus subject to much less variability and uncertainty. So Howard here saying, hey, look, there's still some uncertainty in the market. I'm definitely going to have cash deployed because I want to be able to make money. I want to have my money working for me. I'm not just going to sit on the sidelines. But I'm not necessarily sure that S&P 500 stocks are really where to go yet. That's what I take away from Mr. Marks there. Both the NASDAQ 100 and NASDAQ composite indices were in correction territory, with the former down 11.82% and the latter down 12.65% below their previous highs. This is what we have said. This SPY seems to be lagging here. SPY just barely tested the 10% pullback level. NASDAQ down here 12.65%. IWM already in bear market territory as that was down 20% here. So, okay. So let me know. Sorry I spent so much time on one story here, but let me know, just if you want to be really short about it. Are we in a buy the dip environment yet? Is it time? Are we early? Should we be waiting? I'm curious to hear what you folks think about all of that. Let me run through here real quick and see if I missed anything. Good morning, Tyler. Yeah, we are going to make some money. No question. Buffalo by Bicycle says, I feel worse missing the rally on the sidelines. I'm buying. So I can relate to that because if you recall last year, 2024, that is calendar year 2024, I definitely expected this market to pull back and we didn't get it. And the end result of that, yeah, I kept my portfolio protected. I really didn't get smoked, which is always good, right? Capital preservation always should be priority number one. But at the end of the year, I felt like, man, I could have made a lot more than I did if I had just stayed invested. If I had played this a little bit differently, I could have been better. I could have made more. So what you're saying here, I agree. I take a long-term approach in some of these things. I actually get mad on short-term trades when I lose money on stuff that I know is garbage, like Mullen, for example. Like if I'm trading something that I know is trash and I end up losing there, that's when I look back and I say to myself, Ryan, what were you doing? Like, why were you even doing that? Like, you know better than that. But that makes me upset, but nothing makes me more upset than really having a viewpoint and sitting on the sideline and missing a prolonged move. If you miss something in a very short term, or you make a mistake in a very short term, chances are, unless you really sized into that too much, you can make that back. But when you sit out for a long period of time, like, why didn't I own NVIDIA in 2024? Probably should have held that or swung that for a large portion of the year. The answer is because I was kind of waiting for a pullback and we never really got it. Now we're starting to get it here. So Buffalo by Bicycle, I can completely empathize with you on this one. I too don't want to miss the next move. This is why I'm staying invested in some of these things and why I'm bringing attention to the fact that, hey, now that we're at one of these pullback levels, yeah, it might not be done, but we definitely want to pay attention because there might be opportunities there. Good morning, Jay. Terlingua says, Buffalo, I'm with you. Buffalo, it sounds like you're pretty much right on there. You are right on there. It seems like there is going to be more people on your side. Whisk, good morning, Ryan. Hope you are feeling better, my guy. I am, dude. It's unbelievable what rest might do. Unbelievable. Aaron says we might be in a bear market this year. And this is really the $64,000 question, right? Because if we do enter a bear, first of all, I think you're right. I think we could enter a bear market if we continue to pull back, excuse me. But this is really the big thing, right? Do you want to, you certainly don't want to add new positions as the market keeps moving down. And if we move into a bear market, you don't necessarily want to hold stocks that are likely not going to perform. But at the same time, if we move down enough and then we start trading back up, there's an opportunity there and we need to capture that. So I'm with you on this. This is what makes this job hard. And this is why we're going to keep looking at data every single day. Good morning, Kayla. It's great to see you again. Captain Obvious, AF, good morning. James, good morning. NVIDIA's PE has been around 60 for forever. I don't think that's necessarily the case. Let's check on the forward PE right now. Forward PE as of this morning is around 25. These are off some of those highs. So maybe there was something else in there. Maybe you're looking at a different PE. Let me know. Again, traditionally, semiconductor multiples much lower than that. But in any case, NVIDIA's PE has actually come in. This was above 30 not long ago. So that's actually making progress towards coming in a little bit. Harris saying, good morning, Harris. By the way, I didn't say good morning to you yet. Uber is cheap, under a 16 PE ratio. So it'll be interesting to see if stocks that are viewed by these traditional fundamental metrics as cheap, it'll be interesting to see if those can catch a bid. Right? Because if stocks that, I think the things that we're going to be looking for, stocks that are relatively cheap on a fundamental basis, PE, price to book, really whatever metrics you want to use. And then also whether or not those companies have cash on hand, right? Because they need to be able to do business operations. They need to be able to keep the doors open, and you don't want them to finance or dilute. So that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure those are things that we can take a look at. Wells Fargo price target for Micron moved to 130. Actually, I did not take a look at Micron here today. I know Micron's been one of the favorite tech stocks, and look what Micron's really done. Just kind of looking at this, boy, since August of last year, we've really kind of been in this range. Now we are at the bottom end of the range, But I kind of like this, James. I kind of think that Micron, this might be one of the better stocks to actually take a swing at if we do kind of turn around. Here we go. Just going with the same stat we were just talking about, price to earnings, forward PE on Micron here, 13. And also pretty attractive range, really didn't break down from this range. You were saying here that, here you go, Micron price target lowered to 130 from 140 from Wells Fargo. So you had mentioned that it moved. This actually lowered here, but still pretty significantly, 35, 36 points higher than where we're at. Not insignificant. Also here, Wolf Research, I know it's not the same as Wells Fargo, but Wolf Research here, price target lowered to 150 from 175, really saying the same thing. While they are lowering the price target, the stock still appears to be cheap, at least by both of those metrics. Okay. Let me go back to, we were just talking about the buying the dip. We finished that. Okay, let's talk now really quickly about Intel. How about that? Love to get your opinion on Intel. This is actually something that I've been waiting for recently. Let me flip over to Intel here. Hang on one sec here. Little chart bug there. We got that fixed. Okay, so here is Intel. I left the previous potential trade that never triggered, by the way. So one of the reasons why we set trades up like this, we never really got above that area here, and we fell out and stopped out. But Intel now looks like it's really kind of holding this $19 level. This certainly looks like some pretty extreme support. And it's really done a good job holding this. Now, the news here, Intel shares trading higher after the company announced a new CEO. So we're up here 11% in the pre-market. If we take a look at this has been pretty good price action for Intel. We popped on the news announcement yesterday in the after hours, and we've really held this level all yesterday and all morning so far here today. So we'll see what happens when the PPI comes out. We'll see if that really kind of shakes the market here, or if Intel might have another up day ahead of it here. Let's go over to the story here real quick and take a little dive into what's going on. Intel shares are climbing in the after hours trading on Wednesday after they announced new chief executive officer. Intel said its board of directors has appointed Lip-Bu Tan, a former member of Intel's board of directors. He served from 2022 to 2024. He is familiar with the business. He's worked in the sector for a long time as chief executive officer effective March 18th. So I guess that's going to start Tuesday, day after my birthday. Let's go. Tan will succeed co-CEOs David Zizner and Michelle Holthus. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Zinsner will remain executive vice president and chief financial officer, and Holthus will remain CEO of Intel Products. So they're putting a new head in, but it's someone that's familiar with the business, and they're leaving some of the other folks intact in their positions. I think that makes a lot of sense here. Frank Yearly, who took on the role of interim executive chair in the board during the search for the new CEO, will revert to being the independent chair of the board once Tan becomes the CEO. Lip-Bu is an exceptional leader whose technology industry expertise, deep relationships across the products and foundry ecosystems, and proven track record of creating shareholder value is exactly what Intel needs in its next CEO, end quote. That was said by Frank Yeary. I completely agree with this. This is one of the things that I have been waiting for. We have been asked a lot about Intel. Hey, is Intel a good buy? Should we buy Intel down here? And one of the things that I was really waiting for is a C-suite executive shakeup, in particular the CEO. Now we are getting that. Now we're getting that here with Intel, and it seems like they've done a good job looking for the replacement here. The replacement seems like they have the required experience. This, to me, seems like a good move. Market seems to be rewarding it as well. Let's see if Intel can hold any of these gains. Remember, we've had some news flow recently about Intel, and it does seem like we will kind of want to protect Intel as being a U.S.-based chip maker here. Throughout his long and distinguished career, he has earned a reputation as an innovator who put customers at the heart of everything he does. Boy, that sounds perfect. Sounds absolutely perfect for what they're doing here. So Intel, new CEO, seems to be cut from the right cloth, seems to be a pretty good selection here. We'll see what this does for Intel. I know that several of you have been trading Intel recently. shared a really great call by a Benzinga Pro member who said, hey, Intel's really going to move here. Stock was just under $20, went to 24. So I'm just curious if anyone is invested in Intel, what you think about this news. Maybe you traded it in the short term on this news. Anyway, curious to hear what any of you think about this. Okay, let me go through here and make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, stay healthy to enjoy your life. Facts, Ron. We will absolutely do that. Time in the market is better than trying to time the market. Oh, that is such a good one-liner, day trader. That is such a good one-liner, and that really describes taking a long-term approach, why that's important. I like this. I'm probably going to Control C and Control V this going forward here. If I don't cite you, I'm sorry about that. Please know I did get that here from you. That's really good stuff, though. Did Kramer give Tesla the kiss of death yesterday? Ha ha ha. He said bye. MD, that's a good question. I don't know. I was not watching Mad Money. I was asleep. I was sleeping off some really crappy feelings on all that. So, man, oh man, you'll have to let me know. Jonathan saying global M2 is expanding. I think the bull will continue. It's just stumbling. So, okay, is this a buy the dip? Seems like we're pulling back. That if you think the bull run is going to continue, that definitely seems like an opportunity to add. Sounds good there. Ron, you had said sell and mate. One of the things that we have done recently, and I'm proud of the entire group, really thankful to the Benzinga ecosystem. We've been talking a lot about seasonality and how that plays into things. And just as a reminder, we are currently in one of the worst periods for the market on a seasonality basis. And this generally ends near the end of March. So I actually think March 13th here, we probably got another 2 weeks of maybe some of this choppiness back and forth as per the seasonality stats that we've taken a look at. So we'll see if we do get any type of rebound in April. And if we do, that might turn into a sell in May situation. We'll see if we get that here again. Okay. You guys are out here. A lot of great stuff. Okay. Thanks, Ryan. I didn't make it up. I heard it from someone much smarter than me. But that's the beauty. That's the beauty when you take these golden nuggets and you pass them on to others. We can always learn from those that are smarter than us and have more experience than us. And I will help you proliferate that. I love that. Okay, PPI came out. Sorry, I was just going off. Let's take a look at that. Oh, clicked on the wrong thing here. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. PPI year over year for February, 3.2 versus the 3.3 estimate. So just a little bit light there. Prior read was 3.7. That continues to come in, the producer price index. US PPI month over month for February, flat, 0.0 versus the 0.3 estimate. The prior read was 0.6. Another light number there. US initial jobless claims, 220,000 versus the 226,000 estimate. The prior read was 222. And US core PPI month over month for February, a decline of 1/10 versus the 3/10 estimate. The prior read was 5/10. That number sure seems good to me. S&P futures here, not they're I guess they are reacting to this, but really haven't moved from where they were when I woke up here. S&P futures down about 0.2 here. Dow futures down 0.2. NASDAQ down 0.3. These are all up off of the lows. So looks like we're getting that. PPIX food, energy, and trade 0.2 versus the 0.3 estimate. Looks good. That looks like a good number here. I don't think there's anything that's going to spook the market on that number. So I would look for a continuation from what we had yesterday. That would just be my best guess right here off the top. Okay. PPI flat, jobs not good. PPI month over month, big drop. Yay, PPI. Now we sell. LOL. PPI is beautiful. Okay, so it looks like all you folks were looking for that. Okay, there we go. There we go. The big economic event is out of the way here. S&P futures, by the way, continuing to tick up here. We'll see if that gets sold here at the open. But so far, so good. Okay, we took a look at Intel. We have to take a look at Tesla. Otherwise, I feel like you guys are going to shoot me. Tesla here has been bouncing. Remember, we filled that gap down here. We talked about that quite a bit. We are continuing to bounce here. We actually reclaimed the 500 here. Tesla is up. Or actually, I should say Tesla is flat here in the pre-market. Looks like we were a little bit lower, but we're kind of back to balance here on Tesla. Let's flip over to the story here. A lot of the same stuff going on here. JP Morgan analysts forecast Tesla to experience its weakest quarter for car deliveries since 2022. You folks have been all over this. You guys, I know a lot of folks here in the chat have been negative on Tesla, especially since the election and especially since Tesla really kind of turned around post-election. Makes a lot of sense. Tesla CEO Elon Musk and his role in the Trump administration are negatively impacting the company standing on Wall Street. The JP Morgan team, led by Ryan Brinkman, has slashed their first quarter delivery forecast for Tesla by 20% from 444,000 to 355,000. This figure is significantly below the consensus analyst projections of 430,000. So we know what the story is here, right? Brand recognition, because people absolutely hate Trump, even if he is doing things that are positive. He just has a negative connotation. Elon doesn't necessarily have the best reputation on his own. Now you're combining these two people together. I'm sure you're stirring up emotions here. And then there's the very real worry that, hey, the dude is not spending as much time at his company and he's spending more time with some of the US government stuff. The way I look at this, two factors here. Number one, it does seem to me that if a CEO is choosing to do that, they care probably a little bit more about what's going on with the country than with the company that they're currently running. Probably also shows that they have confidence in the other people that are helping run the company. That would be a takeaway from that. The other takeaway that I would have on Tesla is I would caution people on this one here. Let's go back to the chart. I would caution people on this because you guys are right to feel the way that you feel about this. However, it's important to remember over the course of looking at Tesla's stock price, this stock is no stranger to humongous moves down and then humongous moves back up and even some new highs. So given what we're seeing here, I'm not entirely surprised to see this. I would imagine that as sentiment continues to be negative, you could really drive this price down. I'll say this right here today, March 13th, 2025. Tesla is not done as a company. Tesla will print higher highs. It will set new highs at some point. Now, if I could tell you exactly when that was, oh boy, we'd all be printing money here. I'd have trades lined up to take advantage of that. We'd share them with you, and we would all benefit from that. The only thing that I want to caution people on here: be careful if you're betting on the end of the company, because we've seen that quite a bit, and I don't want to say that will not happen. That almost never happens. This stock in particular, no stranger to drastic moves, very much like Bitcoin in that regard. Huge moves, peak to trough. I'm expecting more of that here with Tesla. I would say that if you think that there's another big up move here in Tesla, I don't think there's any problem with kind of waiting this out and waiting for it to confirm that it is going to have a change in sentiment. I don't think you need to absolutely nail the dead low and nail the dead top in order to make money on this. I really don't. I think Tesla's going to continue to be volatile. And again, the bigger overarching theme here with Tesla is it's not just a car company. It's a technology company. If you feel that it's just a car company and the owner of the business is doing a poor job, I can absolutely understand why you have a negative opinion of that. And why you'd want to stay away from that. Conversely, if you think that this company is a technology company at heart and has more great things to do, I can understand exactly why you would buy this. So this is now, to me, really kind of turned into a battleground stock more so than it already was. And I would imagine this will probably be easier to trade with two things. One, if Elon becomes more disconnected from it, you'll probably have less headline-driven fluctuations in its price. Or B, if they really start putting up good numbers, I don't think people will care as much on Tesla, to be quite honest with you. But okay, let's go back to the article here. I just wanted to make sure I covered everything I think this was it. We talked about the JP Morgan $120 price target. I'll tell you this, if we do go to $120 on Tesla, I'm a buyer at that level. And this is generally a stock that I don't trade because I haven't really done well on in the past, but I'd be a buyer there at 120 for a swing long there. This prediction aligns with earlier forecasts by Gene Munster, managing partners of Deepwater Asset Management, who anticipated a 5% decline in Tesla deliveries in 2025 before a 40% surge in 2026. So again, this Gene Munster kind of hinting here that this move down might actually be setting up for a giant move up. We'll see if that ends up materializes. Dan Ives, we can't get through a morning without quoting Dan Ives here. Moreover, Dan Ives, head of technology at Wedbush Securities, previously expressed concerns about Musk's dual roles at Tesla and Doge, stating that the current leadership situation at Tesla is, quote, unsustainable for shareholders. So again, what Elon chooses to do against the backdrop of how the company is performing, I think that's going to determine where the stock is going to go. I don't think the trade is over here in Tesla. I think we're going to have another opportunity on this one. Okay. Let's see. Tesla's too hard. I stay away. Buffalo by Bicycle. I often feel the exact same way. I feel like, look, it's just too hard. I feel like there's more low-hanging fruit out there. That I do. Brandy says it's hard to increase EV sales in the U.S. when the government is against them. Not political, just the reality of the situation. Wouldn't touch any EV-related company right now. So, Brandy, this is not a political statement. This is a factual statement that you're bringing here. And on top of that, it's not necessarily just Tesla. Remember, over the last year and a half, it wasn't the EV companies that really hit it out of the park. Instead, it was the companies that focused on hybrid, namely Toyota, which really did a good job. The stock price reflected it. So the comment here about EVs, I think that you're completely on track here. And while I do think that it's great that we have EV offerings, I don't think it is all of the positives that people say about it. I really don't think that their overall footprint on the environment is that much better than internal combustion engines. I know that's a opinion not shared by many, but you look into the sourcing of the battery and all the different things that go along with that, as well as the fact that the vehicles just simply weigh more on average than ICE vehicles, and as a result require different tires that produce particulates into the atmosphere. There's a lot that goes into this. So I think that you're spot on with the EV sales there. And again, I think one of the big drivers for Tesla is that it's more than just EV sales. And I think that's one of the keys. That's how the stock got so extended. That's why we're seeing moves to the downside that are so prolific. But I think you're spot on there. And I did not take that comment as being political, even in the slightest bit. I think that's very analytical, in fact. Okay, let's see. We got 18 minutes till 9 here. We are expecting 13 pretty soon. I did want to cover one more story here regarding IBM. Let's take a look at that here real quick. And this is because one of the reasons I want to cover this is because we talked a lot about DeepSeek when that entire thing came out. And then since then, and I think that the CEO's comments here from IBM are quite good. IBM CEO Arvind Krishna says DeepSeek, an indicator of what's to come, predicts AI models will use just 1% of today's energy in 5 years. Okay, couple of things there real quick. First of all, believes the future of artificial intelligence lies in smaller, faster, and vastly more energy efficient models. And he says DeepSeek was a glimpse of this. I completely agree with this. If you followed technology, computing, all of that stuff for any length of time, you realize that this is just the natural trend, right? Computers get smaller, they get faster, they get more efficient. I'm completely unsurprised to hear that AI is going to do the same thing. Now, some of the eye-popping numbers in terms of compute power that were required by AI, as well as energy demands in order to get this stuff running, that's one thing. But again, I think even if you apply what we've seen here in technology, all of this stuff is going to continue to get more efficient. Now, his number here, the models will use just 1% of today's energy. He's way more in tune with that than I am. So I'll go with that. That number seems to be That seems to be pretty incredible, right? That seems like a drastic reduction in energy in order to achieve the same things. That is exciting, however, and that really kind of throws cold water on one of the arguments here that, well, Bitcoin's going to ruin the environment because it's going to take more energy than we have, and AI is complicating that. It's all hogwash. There's no way that I think that that's going to happen, and it seems like the IBM CEO is pretty much telling you the same thing in a much more palatable way there. Speaking at South by Southwest 2025, Krishna praised DeepSeek, a Chinese developed AI model that shocked the industry with small size and high performance. If a model is about 1/10 to 1/15 the size and equally effective, it is 1% of the energy cost, Krishna said. He added that within 5 years, quote, most of the models are going to be using 1% of the energy that we're using here today. So interesting. I think that really kind of shows that these AI models are going to continue to proliferate. They're going to continue to get better and better. And us as traders, we should expect news and headlines about this. We should expect new LLMs. We should expect new GPT tools. We should expect that we hear that things are getting better and faster and less demanding of our energy requirements. So I'm just, to me, this seems fairly obvious. It's good to hear someone in a position of leadership say this. And the other thing, I want to do a little bit of a victory lap here, because I don't know if some of you remember, but when that news of the DeepSeek came out here, we actually had a couple of trolls join our space here and tell us how everybody effed up, everybody except the Chinese effed up, and this, that, and the other thing. And really, no one in a position of power had that opinion. Everyone had the opinion that, hey, this is actually a rising tide lifts all boats situation. Sam Altman, the day after, said that this is awesome. We have a new model coming out. We're going to release it a little bit sooner. This is going to help things progress. It's not actually going to ruin or transform the industry. Instead, it's going to progress the industry. Now we have the IBM CEO kind of saying the same thing, using some different words, but kind of saying the same thing. So really, really good stuff. This is encouraging to me. I'm not necessarily buying IBM on this news. One of the things that I'd like to see is whether or not the government cuts and the government spending actually affect IBM. It hasn't yet. We'll see if it does that in the future. However, the comments here about AI encouraging, really kind of playing along with what we see out of technology quite a bit here. And again, really, I know he doesn't really know about the trolls that came around our program, but he pretty much kicked them to the curb. He did the work for us, and I am here. I'm here for that. Okay, let's go ahead and let's welcome 13 on real quick. 13, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you this morning? How's everybody out there? How are you feeling today?
I am doing much better. So I'm going to start off here with, first of all, being thankful. Thank you for that. Health is wealth. I know we talk a lot here about making money and all that, and that's great. But the real health, or the real wealth, is health. And I feel so much better today. I don't think I really left my bed for an extended period of time yesterday. I'm not really sure 100% what's going on, but I'm just grateful that I feel better. I'm also grateful for you for really just kind of handling a curveball there without issue. Really appreciate you working with Kevin to make sure that we finished our show. So thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
It was fun. We had a good time.
Good. I'm glad you have fun. I will say I got some reports from people that said you guys did a great job. That's absolutely awesome. Really appreciate it, 13. Now, what I will say here is, really quickly, Caddyshack saying this doesn't sound good for the SMR and the others in that space. We're talking about AI needing less power. So this is a good point. But I would caution you. First of all, I think that nuclear is still the arc that this country needs to go in order to satisfy all of its power needs. We have a power grid problem completely separated from AI that could be addressed by going to nuclear power. But what this does do is this absolutely throws some cold water on some of that early momentum here. Our show did a great job of covering how long it actually takes to get some of those power plants online, and before we actually might see some of the new plants be reflected in the P&L. So I think that if anything, this kind of shows that, hey, this switch to nuclear, if we do that in the future, it's not going to be sped up by AI. We're not going to just kind of ramp this for the sake of ramping it. And I think that those stocks probably have a little bit longer runway. Also, shout out to Tim Melvin, who told you that in the face of those stocks actually running and going buck wild on a regular basis. He came in and said, look, it's going to be a long time. I think we should really kind of temper those things. Now we're starting to get more news that kind of goes along that. So Caddyshack with you on that, especially in the near term. Okay, 13. I know I kind of brought you on here early since we really didn't have a guest. I'm unsure of what you have prepared for already, so don't want to put you on spot. Do you want to look at any individual names? Do you want to look at movers? What direction do you want to go next here?
So I spent some time looking at these movers this morning, and some are actually a good majority of them are just they're at the top spot in one moment and they're down at the bottom the next. Nothing really sticking around. A lot of penny stocks up here, so started to look into some, and then I realized this isn't anything. Like I started looking into OSS, One Stop Systems, and that didn't seem like it was really doing a whole lot. Like it just had this one sale of shares that sent it up to the level it's at. I have no read on any price action with OSS, so I don't know why this is on the movers list. It's probably just because it just had one move and that was it. I mean, are you getting the same thing on the chart?
Yeah, so I don't have, so here's, so my charts have been wonky here. Give me one sec. Let me go back to OSS here. We'll take a look at this. Yeah, I have this up on very, here, let's see what I can get here. We've got this up 41% on 100 shares of volume.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quickly, while we're looking at this, let me explain why I have this tool set up the way that I have it. We use the tool every day. I might as well dive into that a little bit. Our movers tool here, while it's not a full-blown real-time scanner, it is an extremely easy to use and effective tool for finding things that are moving. And when you apply that to pre-market and after-hours moves, it actually becomes the most effective tool at finding out what stocks are gapping. And when you combine that with Benzinga's news interface, you're actually able to really quickly figure out why stocks are moving. This is one of the reasons why we go here. Now, I have two filters applied to this every single day. You guys know about the minimum price filter of $1 here because I talk more smack about penny stocks than most people. So I filter them out here. But one of the other things that I do here is I put a minimum volume filter of 600,000. So 13, when you first mentioned that OSS was moving here, I noticed I didn't see it on my list at all. So when I actually pulled it up and saw the size of the move here, it was quite easy to figure out exactly why that thing was moving. And then if you mouse over the move, you actually get a direct print here, 100 shares of volume. Look at it now. We're actually only up 4.4% because we've now traded 150 more shares here. So really quick, this is one of the reasons why I filter for movers in the morning. A 41% move is notable. It begs the question why. A quick investigation in there shows that the stock is just very, very thinly traded. It seems like someone fat fingered that one.
Maybe, and that must have been them trying to get out of the sale.
So who knows? But I don't really think there's anything going on here with that. Was there news on this or anything? No. They announced that they're going to report their earnings yesterday. They're going to announce that they do that on Wednesday, March 19th.
There's so the scanners list for me is just kind of full of names that are here one moment and gone the next. Like here's another one that just came up that was not where it's at, or was it where it was at earlier. AVAH, that's another one. But I started looking into CRVO. This one actually, Servomed.
Mm-hmm.
This one actually looks like we might have something here, something we can actually trade. Also, it looks like it's going through a little bit of a short squeeze. Has almost 17% of its float shorted with 12 days to cover. This is moving on an upgrade and price target. So they
Yeah, so this is interesting here. Again, with me being out of commission yesterday, I obviously missed all of this here. Servomed shares are trading higher after the Chardon Capital Company upgraded its rating on the stock from neutral to buy. Now, let me take a look at that. That was as of this morning. Oh no, yeah, that was actually as of yesterday in the after hours. So, what
Yeah.
caused this thing to run midday yesterday? We don't know.
I don't know what.
Anticipation of the price target. Maybe that got leaked. Maybe something happened on X where this
Well,
was getting pumped or something. I don't know.
yeah, the upgrade was actually on Wednesday after hours.
That's yesterday, right? I didn't lose a day. Today's Thursday.
Right. What I'm saying is, oh wait, no, it must have been the headline before where they were. Okay, so I really don't know why it
Yeah,
was moving.
this is what
yesterday.
I'm saying. The upgrade here, seems like this came after
Yeah,
the
after
big
bell.
run yesterday. So it's also worth noting here that midday Tuesday, we had some other upgrades here, right? Roth MKM went to 15 from 7. So that was more than a double. D Boral maintained. Okay, so it didn't even change. So, all right. So I think we should figure out what's going on here. First of all, I guess, did anyone trade this yesterday? Let me know if you ended up trading this yesterday. I do see the Chardon upgrade from yesterday. This company here, Servomed, is a clinical stage biotech company. It's focused on developing treatments for age-related neurologic disorders. The company's product candidate, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, has potential to treat and improve synaptic dysfunction. So I wonder if this almost fits into our longevity play.
It's interesting that you say that because you know what's been on the move up lately.
Hello.
Uh-huh.
So part of me is wondering if there's more of like kind of an undercurrent here for this theme. Hey, I'm glad this is on the radar here today. Let me know if any of you folks traded this one. Yeah. Maybe this was just kind of in response to the other price target raise the day before, which was Tuesday. I don't know. It just seems like a delayed reaction. Like normally we see those things move in the pre-market here. Anyway, nonetheless, real quick, market cap of about 51 million is a pre.
Uh-oh. Well, now now you got me. So I don't.
I'm here. No, that must have just been an internet. I was rolling, and then I saw the things adjusting here. I'm here. Internet's stable.
Okay.
TV didn't drop. Everything. Huh. Well, okay. Look, after yesterday, we're gonna make it today. That much I could promise you. We're gonna make it through today for sure. Anyway, sorry. With CRVO here. Float 5.35 million. You did a really good job outlining that this is likely a short squeeze. It has some pretty high short interest in it. We know what the news is. What else you got here on this one?
Well, Jonathan Cooper saying that there was an 8K that was missed. So just trying to see if I can find what he's looking at here. I see an 8K that was filed on the 11th. I'm not sure if that's when you're referring to. But I think what we're seeing more of today is more relative volume, more short squeezing. Or I'm sorry, this isn't the one that had the short interest, is it? No, it is.
No,
it has 17 with 12 days to cover. So I think it's a combination of that as well because the news is a little bit old.
So we're filling a gap here. It looks like. On the daily,
this one,
this gap fills up at 10.
This one we were actually we did trade a little bit. Now that I look at the chart, we did trade this yesterday. This was the big gap filler.
Yeah, I was going to say, just looking at this move, I would imagine that our group was all over this here. This two legs up there, and then another leg up in the after hours when that upgrade was confirmed.
Yeah, but to Lion's point, it is really extended. I mean, look at the daily. RSI, we're over 93 now, almost 94. I mean, this thing could continue to go be wild. It's only, let's see, if the float is not that big. I've got a read of 5.35, so in that wheelhouse there. I don't know exactly how high this goes. Let me see if I have levels marked off because I know I marked them off yesterday.
Yeah, just kind of eyeballing this 650 seems to be a level. Maybe this, I don't know, maybe this 750, which was the after hours high. Ultimately, VWAP right there, right around 750. So maybe it'll find some support there.
Yeah, so it's already past the gap fill. The next level to the upside that I have, I mean, if it even can get there, is going to be 867. That's the 200 EMA on the daily. Other than that, we just have that gap and just whatever price action between where we're at now and that EMA. So not much. Maybe, I mean, that's really what I'm going to just lean on. It's just the 200 EMA on the daily, 67.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in agreement here with Lion. Without knowing much more about this, I do think it is extended at this point based on the news that we've kind of uncovered here. Lion also going on to say this needs to come back to 6. That wouldn't surprise me at all. That 6 is pretty much right in that consolidation area. That actually makes a pretty good spot there, Lion. So we'll see if that happens here on CRVO. But that's what's going on.
That's about where the low from the end of 2023 was in December. That's about down there at 6.
Okay. All right, next one I have here on the list is going to be CCLD. This is CareCloud, Charlie Lima Delta. CareCloud shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results. So good. Nice to see this moving on an actual catalyst here that we can get behind. Short interest here, looking at this, 1.27% of the float shorted with 1.73 days to cover. I think that's pretty negligible at this point. Float of about 10 million, so right at the top end of the range there. Quick look at those earnings for this microcap stock. Adjusted EPS of 24 cents, beat the 6-cent loss. So they made money and nice sizable beat there. Sales 28.29 million versus the 27.9 million. So a tiny beat there on sales. Looks like they had some financial engineering there to kind of make that EPS number look a little bit better. And then the guide here, I think this is really what's driving it. Fiscal year 25 revenue of 111 to 114 million. The consensus there was 112. So it looks like it's right in line there. Projects EPS of 10 cents to 13 cents. So looks like they're projecting positive numbers there instead of a loss. All of that factoring into a 38+% move here today. CCLD. You got any thoughts on this market sniper? Going with just coming hot out of the gate here with some levels. I see resistance at 265. Okay, here's your 265 spot. I don't necessarily see it from this chart, but I should look at some other time frames to see if I can figure that out. If it breaks, we could see 310. Now, 310 right in here, this one does stand out from the intraday chart here. So I think that level makes a lot of sense. 13, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, so this one had a double top since, let's see, toward the end of last year, we put in the first peak. So there you go. So I think that area that Market Sniper was referring to is where the bottom, that I guess we'll call it the neckline of where the double top is. So that's down around 260. You can see on in the middle of January, we were putting in those lows that he's talking about. So now that's at a resistance area. And then they did a preferred stock offering, and that really pulled this thing down to the price it was at just before we had this rally. So big EPS beat. That was the real standout thing here with their earnings, is that the expectation was a 6-cent EPS loss, and it turned out to be a 24-cent EPS beat. So quite massive there. That's helping this turnaround. I agree with that level. With the 260 being a resistance area. I think we could see. We're already past that. So. That would be the next stop for me, since we're well beyond some of these other resistance levels. 260 looks good, followed by the 200 EMA on the daily chart. That's at 284. We'll call it 285. And then we get into a bunch of consolidation. I'd be interested to see if we can actually, get into more of the meat of this double top here, because that might be an indication that this pattern is resolved. And we're just kind of taking it out now. So
okay.
If we do get beyond 260 in that EMA, then we also have 320 as the next potential spot.
Okay. Real good stuff here, CCLD. Okay, let me roll through some more here. Anne-Marie, good morning, Anne-Marie.
Morning.
Thanks again for all of your support, and thanks for joining us here. Love this. Absolutely love this. Watch for the market action at open here. If we don't immediately begin to sell off, we will catch sellers flat-footed, and we will likely see a squeeze up. Okay, so love how actionable this is. Basically, you're looking for the market to sell here, and if it does not, we could actually have some movement to the upside. So there you go. I'll factor that into your trading here this morning. We will be watching for that, Anne-Marie. Thanks again. Good morning, Beach Bum, Market Sniper. Carmen, oh no, sorry to hear you weren't feeling well, right? Thank you, Carmen. Much better. It's incredible what rest, hydration, and just a day makes. Feeling like a different human being here today. Thanks for the well wishes, and good to see you here this morning. Hans mentioning NVIDIA is strong today. We'll see here. NASDAQ actually trading up right now. NASDAQ was down over 0.25% earlier. That's paring back a lot of those losses here. Down only 0.2 now, and actually the intraday chart looking like NASDAQ's trying to go higher. I would imagine NVIDIA would lead that. Okay. All right, let's keep rolling through the list here real quick. I already talked a little bit about Intel 13, but I did want to get your opinion because this is something that we have been discussing in Happy Hour as well as PreMarket Playbook here for some time. We've really been following Intel for a while here. Of course, the news here is Lip-Bu Tan is now being named the new CEO. So we have a more than just an interim CEO. We actually have a CEO replacement here. I know a new CEO and a new executive team was one of the things that we were waiting for here on Intel. Yeah. Market is liking this plus 13%. Do you have any thoughts here on the Intel C-suite shakeup?
Well, we have talked about how badly this company needed a new CEO, and how that. I mean, this is something we were talking about, since probably the middle of last year, about how CEO replacement would be bullish for the company,
a positive catalyst, and that's exactly what we're saying. Yep.
So that my whole thought on that is already what we're seeing. I don't know enough about the new hire, so I'd have to do some research. But being from TSMC, the most popular chip manufacturer in the world, probably the greatest one right now, that one, that's helping lift the stock even further, in my opinion. I think that's a really great hire. You get and a great headline to see that you're getting some management from TSMC. As far as the price action goes, it looks like we are trying to get above 23.50, and it seems like we just barely printed above it, but I don't think that's it yet. I think we're still trying to gear up to push higher into this level here. It's 23.50. Let me take a look here at the 5-minute chart.
While you're doing that here, a couple of things about Lip-Bu Tan. First of all, he's actually served on the Intel's board from 2022 to 2024. So in addition to having some of the experience from another industry leader like TSMC, he's actually familiar with Intel as well. Been around in the business for a long time and has a lot of experience with some of the things that they're trying to do. So I agree with you on the surface. We'll see how it shakes out, but it seems to me like they made a really good job with their replacement here. Anyway,
let's see that 23.50 get taken out. This 24 is going to be the big level. That's where the 200-day SMA is, and we want to see that recaptured, and we want to hold above that for a while, and ultimately finish filling the gap created from the end carry trade last year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Really good to see Intel popping here today. No position here, so it's easy for me to just kind of sit by passively and watch this. One of the things that I want to see here today, does it actually give up any of these gains when the market opens? Does it if the market kind of holds itself together here today and Intel moves back down, that would be telling. If Intel remains strong while the market kind of sells off and falls apart here today, that would be telling. So I want to see just kind of how Intel actually trades today against the backdrop of how the market does. We'll see how that shakes out. Okay, a couple of other smaller names here that are moving. This next one's going to be MGTX. This is Mira GTX Holdings. Shares are trading higher. The company reported FY24 financial results, so it looks like we've got earnings here. This did pop as high as 8 here this morning before coming back into the VWAP. It's made another run here at 8. Looks like it missed on mixed report here, so it missed on EPS, but the revenue beat pretty handily here. So I guess I'd want to look in a little bit more and see what's going on here.
Joint venture with Hologen, I think, is
Yep, joint venture with Hologen to receive 200 million in upfront cash considerations. I think that does pretty well for this to not have to raise. Then 200 million looks like they lose 25 mil a quarter. Well, 200 million, that gives them plenty of run rate here. So I don't think we're really kind of looking at dilution here.
Yeah, float's a little bit heavier at almost 57 million shares, but should still be able to provide some trades. Let me take a look at this.
Percent of float shorted here, 3.48% with a days to cover of 4. I think that's kind of negligible. I don't really think we're going to get any squeeze action here on this one.
Yeah, we have, okay, so I have 790 as the I guess it's the pre-market high.
Yep.
So, and we've hit that twice, it looks like, or tried to hit it twice. So if we can continue to hold VWAP at the very least, but I would much rather prefer that we hold what is this? Yeah, 750, which we're kind of at right now. I'd like to see that hold there so that we can try and take out that 790. I would need to see a lot more volume in this. The setup looks pretty good, but without the volume, I don't think it's going to mean a whole lot.
Okay. Good stuff there. MGTX. We'll see if this gets rolling here today. Next one on the list here is going to be HMR. This is Heidmar Maritime Holdings. Was this the one that we looked at recently? The shipper that we looked at recently? Looks like this is continuing here. It's had a pretty decent day yesterday. Looks like it's popped here again in the pre-market. See if there was any fresh news on this. Nope. All of this news seems to be a little bit stale. So it really kind of just seems like it's moving on kind of its relative action recently. Let me take a quick peek here at the short interest. I don't have anything. It's kind of a new issue here so far. So, okay, you have anything on this one, 13?
Aside from the fact that we have tried to trade this one and we have talked about it a little bit, and it's in that shipbuilding theme because Trump wants to bring the ship manufacturing back to the U.S. Aside from all that, no, I don't. But I see in the pre-market that we do have a bit of a trend that we can identify here that it looks like we're trying to break. If you go to like a 5-minute chart or some smaller time frame, you can see that after we had the impulse move up that took us to 340, we've had some other impulse moves since then on the way down, and you might have to zoom in a little bit more. There you go. You could probably, I think you can draw a trend line using those two peaks to kind of see where we're. It's about there. So we're trying to move out of that, and we just don't seem to have the volume in this one really either to have that big breakout that we were used to seeing in these trend line breaks. Okay.
Good stuff there on HMR. We talked about Intel here. SNES, this did pop here a little bit. This was on earnings yesterday after hours here today. Or after hours yesterday. Sensitech shares trading higher. The company reported better than expected Q4 EPS results. Also, the company announced it plans new operating optimization initiatives to reduce expenses and accelerate its path to profitability. Let's see how that shakes out here. I know exactly why they're saying that. We're in the right environment for smaller cap stocks to say that. That should go over pretty well. Let's see if they're actually able to materialize on that. I've traded SNES in the past. I don't know if I'm necessarily a long-term believer in this company, but I've traded it in the past. It's given us some good trades.
Yeah,
setups.
It's got 13.3% of the float shorted now, but only almost 1.5 days to cover it. But just notice that it's steadily rising short interest. The highest it's been since July last year. So the only other bullet point that stood out to me.
And looks like this thing is down. It had a bunch of dilution and splits. Let's see.
Yeah, they may have done an offering.
Yeah, they have done a bunch of. They did looks like they're on pace for one reverse split per year since 2022.
They're in competition with Mullen or something.
Well, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. Very few stocks are as junky as Mullen. I don't necessarily want to disparage this in case there are people that actually care.
Here. You and me, Big B's, every single time. I had to suppress it down this time.
Me too.
As well.
Me too. Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Do you have any idea how many hours I lost to Super Nintendo with my friends growing up?
Oh, I don't think those were lost hours at all.
No, I mean, some people would call them lost hours. Some people called them no friendos. I mean, there was a whole bunch of different stuff in there. But oh my God, Super Nintendo. That changed my life. Super Nintendo changed my life. Okay, anyway, Archer also saw some news here on Archer Aviation. Archer is popping here in the pre-market. Looks like it actually traded above 780 briefly there. News here, Archer and Palantir to build the AI foundation of the future for next-gen aviation technologies. Boy, I tell you what, Palantir seems like it's trying to get busy with everyone else on the street there. Archer Aviation and Palantir announced partnership for aviation technologies. Archer to use Palantir Foundry and AIP for scaling of its aircraft manufacturing capabilities. So very much like Ondas here, we have a PR that Archer looks to use the Foundry platform by Palantir to try and make business more efficient. 13, what do you think here on Archer?
I think that, I semi-joked about it last year, but I'm really starting to think that this is going to be a possibility where we actually see eVTOLs flying around much sooner than we get self-driving cars to be mainstream.
Wouldn't that be something? Maybe we should put a poll for that. What do we see first?
Right? Does Tesla come up with full self-driving, or do we have eVTOLs first?
That's funny.
So I'm starting to think that we will get eVTOLs more mainstream than full self-driving. But anyway, that's speculative. As far as what the news goes here, I said a couple of days ago when Archer was under, I think it was under 7, like maybe somewhere in about 6.5, not that long ago. I was looking at maybe picking some more up about 520. That's been an important level throughout its life on the market. So didn't get down there. Kind of considering whether or not I want to jump back into this now. I still think that there may be some better opportunities because remember, this isn't a profitable company yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're losing. Well, let's see. Their last quarter, they almost lost $200 million, and this is all because they're starting to ramp up production. They have to go through all kinds of certifications to get their aircraft certified for air safety. There's a lot of different things that go into getting this off the ground, but it seems like Palantir wants to help along with that. So I still think there may be a better opportunity to get this at a cheaper price. So I'm just going to be patient on this, and hopefully I'm not wrong about that. But there also is some short interest today, some short interest here. So this could squeeze today a little bit. I just don't know how much, but still like Archer long term. Just don't want to own it. Don't want to pick it up at this price.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Frankly, the first price that I see here was 6. I don't know if you recall 13, but when I first started trading Archer, I bought it. It immediately sold off. And I thought to myself, this is likely going to be one of those that kind of just really makes a bigger move in the future. I'll sit on this. I actually added when it went down. This was right in here. I think I actually bought it right here, right? July of last year. This sounds about right. We were running up here. I bought it. I held it through the backside of the move. I actually added a couple of times, and then I sold into this huge pop. 13, I am in agreement with you here. I mean, short of us seeing these things with this year or next year, I absolutely think you're going to get another opportunity to add this as it comes in. I think especially if we see any type of dramatic capitulation in the market, another move down, I think some of these other stocks are going to be affected in the short term. And I think that might give us an opportunity to add some of these at lower prices. So I think you're on something there. I think you're onto something there. Real quickly here, I did want to cover what's going on with Quantum. Izzy, I see that you had mentioned the IONQ news here. So a couple of things. QBTS, this actually reported earnings here today. I do have a D-Wave article that I'm going to go ahead and throw in the chat here for you. We can actually take a look at that real quick. What's going on with D-Wave quantum stock? Shares are trading higher following a notable achievement in quantum computing. The company announced that D-Wave's advantage to annealing quantum computer prototype fabricated by Skywater has achieved computational supremacy in quantum simulation. Okay, pretty awesome. By the way, that Skywater technology, ticker SKYT, is the other stock being mentioned here. So, you can go through that article if you want to look into some more about what this actually is. But if we go back to the stock here, here is QBTS. We're actually trading higher. This moved up yesterday. We're trading higher here today. They had earnings here this morning. It looks like, let's see how they did there. Miss on the top and the bottom line, although the miss was, gosh, they barely missed on both of those numbers, frankly. Nice to see it still holding higher here by 2%. And then, of course, related to this, we should always take a look at Rigetti because that was one of the best movers. Rigetti was actually up earlier. This has now gone red in the pre-market. And as Izzy just mentioned here, IONQ short report. See if we can pull that here. Here is IONQ. This getting pummeled here, down 5%. Let's see what that short report is. Kerrisdale Capital issues a short report. I will see if I can get you a copy of that short report here in a sec. 13, did you want to take a look at any of these tickers? I just looked at the 3 quantum names, QBTS, Rigetti, and IONQ.
So nothing's really changed for me with the quantum names. Like obviously there's going to be some junk ones that just really aren't worth picking up, and there's going to be others that may end up being real companies. I'm still of the mindset that we're going to see quantum computing much sooner than later. But we do have the quantum day coming up with NVIDIA.
March 20th.
A week from today. So I'd be interested to see if we start to get some better movement in some of these quantum names next week in that run up into quantum day, because I'm pretty sure we'll probably start seeing some headlines about it, since it's it's NVIDIA and they tend to dominate the chip sector headline news. So we'll see what we get out of that. I'm just really curious to see what happens with Quantum Day and what they have in store for us, because I felt like Quantum Day was a reaction, to some of these quantum names moving. So I don't necessarily know if NVIDIA has anything or not. So I'm very curious to see what's going on that day.
Okay. Good stuff there. That's what's going on here with some of these quantum names. Looks like IONQ did sell off on that pull from the short report. It's bouncing. Let's see what happens around the opening print here. Got another 10 minutes until that starts. I did notice that Cooler was on here. Looks like this is popping a little bit. Did we have news on Cooler? Indeed, we did. NASA certified M35A battery cells selected by leading private U.S. space company. I wonder which one that is.
There's only a few.
There's only a few of them. But it looks like this is pretty good for Cooler. This did fit into your space theme. Now we're getting a NASA certified company to buy some of these. What do you think here on Cooler?
I mean, Cooler's been hammered since it went on the run with the other space stocks. So, news comes at a pretty good time. It's approaching the 200-day SMA. It's actually just under $1 at 93 cents. Didn't actually quite get down there yet. So wouldn't be surprised if we still end up getting, a little bit of a test of the 200-day SMA at some point. As far as the price action today goes, I would just have to kind of wait and see, but I would imagine that 150 could be a pretty big resistance area. So we'll see if we end up getting that today, but 150 is about where I would think we move up to in Cooler. I'm not sure if we'll get more than that, but if we do, I see levels at 175 and 185 and 2. Okay.
Good stuff there on Cooler. I think that pretty much does it for the movers. Let's see. We've got 9 minutes left here. We can take a look at any stock. We can do ticker time here if you want.
Yeah.
Chat.
Give it to us.
Yeah. What stocks do you folks want to take? I think somebody did select one earlier or mention one earlier. And I'm not sure if we covered it. Let's see. We've covered. Tyler, you were asking for SYM. That's what it was. Thank you, Tyler. Let's take a look here at SYM. This is Symbiotic. This is actually, we've traded this a few times here. Yep. Actually, I believe we traded the early January gap pop that was pretty good for our members here. It's since come back in. We actually are near a support level down here at about $20. In fact, any swing trade now, I would trade probably against $20 here as your downside stop level. We actually are right. I guess maybe I should zoom out a little bit more. Even so, the picture doesn't change. We're right beneath that volume point of control. So I tell you what I'd really like to see here on SYM, I'd really like to see a move up we could act if we could get it for a prolonged enough period of time where we could get this 50 to roll through the 200 from the downside here, we could really kind of get a golden cross, which would be pretty awesome for SYM. I don't know if we're going to get that, to be clear, but if we hold this area and make any type of move up, that should actually set up pretty well for some of these moving averages. I didn't see any news on this.
No, I think
Nope.
if we're going to see any movement, it's going to be squeezing action. This thing is heavily shorted at 47% with almost 12 days to cover.
Yeah.
So I think that might be what price action we'll get to see. Just so out of nowhere move maybe. I don't see any news that's really making me think it's going to run off that. I think it's just going to run off squeezing action.
Okay, so here you go. SYM. Possible squeeze potential. Again, just kind of looking at the daily chart here, the way I would handle this, I would not want to be an owner beneath 20.
There's a February 14th F13, 13F update for SoftBank, and that indicates that they have picked up shares of Symbotic. They also increased their stake in Ionic too. So I don't know if SoftBank is making some great decisions right now, but just wanted to point out that SoftBank in their 13F update, they mentioned that they have added to their Symbotic position.
Okay. Good stuff there. Real quickly, I'm just seeing this here from Crow. Crow's on top of stuff. DWTX. I know we were talking about Dogwood yesterday.
Yes.
I remember because one of the things I said to myself when I was going to my bed to lay down yesterday was, man, I feel like dog water. Forget dogwood. I feel like dog water right now is so awful.
And no one was around to hear the joke.
And no one was around to hear it, so now you get to hear it here today. Anyway, offering here going on $8.26 per share. This getting absolutely smacked down 30+% here today. DWTX. I guess we can see if this firms up. Maybe you get a bounce play in there, but just know what's going on with this one. Also, Lion Atlas here saying, Ryan, did you buy any XRP last week? It dipped to 183. Now it's 233. So no. So let's talk about crypto here real quick. So here's kind of what I'm thinking on crypto. First of all, the single blue squiggly line that you see is the 200-day moving average that you see on my stock charts as well. You'll notice that the price is struggling to get back above that. You'll also notice that I've got 3 price levels marked off beneath this, 73 and change, 65 and 55. I've got an order out right now, a good till cancel ordered to buy more Bitcoin with USD at 70,000. So Lion, to answer your question, I did not buy Ripple. I'm actually still expecting one more move down here in Bitcoin. It is my hope that it is a capitulatory move. I would love for this to just put up one of these, right? Where we just have this big pullback, huge red volume bar, and then have a bottom put in there. I'm hoping that my order gets filled. The way I would look at this is if once I get my Bitcoin order filled, I'll start also then adding to some of the other cryptos that I want to add, namely XRP and SOL. I definitely want to have more Ripple, and I definitely want to own some Ripple and some Solana. Tough for me to sit here and buy it now when I definitely think we're going to get another pull down here in Bitcoin. And with all due respect to all of the other coins there is no coin that I want more than BTC itself. That'll be the first one that I add back after the liquidation there. So I'm still waiting on crypto. I think that this was just kind of a reflexive bounce. Lion, I'm not interested in all at trading some of the short-term fluctuations in crypto. I got to look after my heart, and I got to make sure I got at least another 40 years here on this earth. So I'm not going to be doing that, but I am waiting for another move down here in Bitcoin. I absolutely will add Ripple when we get there. We'll see what happens when we actually do get there. Yeah.
You want to draw a trend line that I find interesting?
Sure.
If you start at Tuesday, December 17th of 2024, that high. There you go. And draw the trend line down through the high of January 7th from this year. It should be the following peak. There you go, right there.
Okay.
That's where I'm looking at resistance. And I have 85
I
already.
gotcha.
I have 85,000 already marked off. We're trying to recover or recapture the 200-day SMA. There's a lot of indicators that are telling me here that 85,000 is a make or break situation. If we don't get back above that, this thing is likely going lower. And I think this is already telling me it's going lower. But I think I might have a better idea of where that large area of rejection might come from. 85,000 seems to be the big area that it needs to retake, or we are going to start to trade down some more. That's just what it looks like to me. I don't know if we'll get that price action, but I think Bitcoin is going lower.
Okay. Really good stuff there. I totally agree with you. And I'm going to be looking to add if we do get that event. Okay. We've got 2 minutes here. Let me go back up here real quick. We did take a look at Intel. Netflix was another one here. And of course, my chart reset when I did that. Gotta love it. Here is your Netflix chart. Netflix, I know we've talked a lot about kind of, big cap tech here. Netflix, oh, come on, Ryan, select the right one. Netflix here seems to be pretty insulated from some of the tariff talk. Netflix down just under 1% here today. Had a pretty nice move yesterday. I don't have any spot here on Netflix. I do kind of want to try to own this for its move higher. I just don't know when it's going to put that in here. Do you have any levels on Netflix 13? It's not one that I really chart a whole lot.
Yeah, it's actually got support from a trend line. We're about to open, by the way, in less than 10 seconds. It got some support from a trend line that I had drawn since early 2024. And it looks like it's trying to put in a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. So for me, I'll distract myself real quick. I want to see this recapture the 50-day SMA, or else I think we are going to go down further into the 800s.
And that's right about 950 there, that 50 EMA. Okay, awesome. Here we go. So remember, Anne-Marie said, watch out of the open if we sell off here. If not, we could possibly squeeze here. It looks like the first move, although small, down here in SPY.
Yeah, to what we were talking about, and we didn't have a happy hour yesterday because unfortunately you were under the weather, but that's fine. We still talked a little bit in the happy hour chat. And one of the things we were talking about is how we might see a little bit of consolidation for a short period of time before we end up choosing a direction here. And I think, I'm of the mind that we end up trying to recover, but we ultimately will go lower throughout the rest of March. And then we start to see a recovery following that seasonal weakness.
Yeah, that's so I'm glad that you're bringing that up here. I actually touched on the seasonality a little bit earlier here today. One of the things that I'm really waiting for, I want that seasonal period to really end. So I'm looking at that. I think the stats that we had were pretty much March 26th through 28th, depending on where that falls. I'm basically looking at 2 more weeks here of this potentially. And then we'll make an adjustment there. We'll see how April actually treats us. The other thing is I don't want to get faked out, right? I don't want to have us look like we're bouncing a little bit here, only for that to end up being a huge bull trap and then get puked out the backside of that. This is the last thing that I want. Real quickly here, poll results are in. We started with a story here. Several Wall Street analysts talking about how it might now be time to buy the dip. Our poll question was, time to buy the dip or wait until further clarity with the tariffs, the big bad T word there. We had 2 options here. We had wait for clarity and buy the dip. Wait for tariff clarity, winning here with 53%. Buy the dip, they're at 46%. Almost even, slight favored edge to waiting for more clarity. SPY trying to bounce now after that first move down.
I just scalped MGTX real quick there. It was kind of providing a pretty nice setup, and it blasted through 8.
Okay, awesome. Let me actually bring that up. Let me. I don't have level 2 up here, so let me bring that up here on level 2. This actually looks pretty strong here as we're continuing to print some new highs here as well. Good stuff out of the gate there, 13.
Yeah, that was I was cycling through some of these names that we have on my list here, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. I'll just take a little bit here, and then it just went right through 8 like it was nothing. Let's see. SSP from yesterday says Jonathan Cooper. Take a look at that. Oh, wow. Look at this thing go.
Life Ward halted here to the upside. So nice little move high. Was this on news, folks?
FDA
Yes.
clearance. Yeah.
FDA clearance for Rewalk 7 exoskeleton. Okay. That's the robotic skeleton thing. I remember when that Rewalk stock IPO, that was a wild day. Anyway, spiking into an upside halt here, plus 52% today. Yikes.
Yeah.
By the way, really quickly, I touched on it a little bit earlier. I'm sorry for being under the weather yesterday. With regards to Ondas, you had asked earlier, 13, when we were talking yesterday, you had asked if I was expecting any type of financing or what they were going to do for money. So I actually did, when I felt better, I actually did go through the report a little bit more. First of all, as per our theme here, I didn't make any knee-jerk reaction to the price action yesterday. After I went through the report, first of all, I don't believe they're going to need to do an offering or dilution at all in 2025. At least based on the finances that they had just financed 35 million. They don't ever lose more than that in a year. I think they've got plenty of money for the entire calendar year here today. So I'm not really worried about an offering or any type of dilution. The other thing is I actually added to my position yesterday. I don't advise that anyone else do this. I can't possibly. The stock has just really been poor. But I added to my position, and now I do believe that they are going to regain NASDAQ compliance. They're going to go through whatever motions. We saw the last time this thing was 50, 60 cents. It made a move up to 3. So I've added enough to my position to lower my cost basis a lot. It's just over $1 now. Any pops that we get above $1, I'm now going to sell into. I'm not going to liquidate my entire position. I'm still going to hold for double digits, which I think might be years away. But any type of moves higher that we get, I'm going to sell into that a little bit and try to give myself a little bit more of a buffer. So I'm going from being just a complete hodler to I'm actually going to trade around my core position here a little bit. Not going to liquidate this until it really makes a move. And I'm still optimistic about 2025. So I hope that answers any of your questions about that. Still disappointing action nonetheless. Yeah, go ahead.
LFWD, chat's mentioning this is halt to the upside. If we once this halt ends, I think this could end up running to 250. That seems to be an interesting area that it might go up to. And if it doesn't stop there, then I think 270 to 275 might also be another big area of resistance.
Okay. Do you think we pop right out of this halt, or might we pull it all?
This is the first halt. I would be leaning more towards the that we go up out of the halt. I don't know that will pop or that will drop and then go. I don't know what the initial price action is going to be, but I think after the halt, we're going to see more upside. That's what I would think. No guarantee. That's what I think.
Okay. Real good. By the way, CCLD here, let me go to the 5-minute chart, not the 1-minute chart. CCLD, we talked about this one. This pulled off that 240 spot right back down, did hold 2. This was going to be one of the areas here that it needed to hold. Looks like we're bouncing from that yet. Would love to see this recapture the VWAP. Definitely want to see some more volume sticks in here. This is CCLD. HMR being mentioned here by Jonathan. HMR post red green.
Yeah, on the daily chart, this thing is trying to curl up. I mean, don't want to make any predictions here, but it looks like it's trying to recover and get back up towards 450, 425, 450. That's what it looks like it's trying to do. I don't know if it's going to get up there anytime soon, but it is still. We did draw that trend line, and it is kind of holding it. So if it moves off this trend line and recaptures VWAP, then it'll be a little bit more interesting price action here, I think.
Okay. Ryan, is that CCLD selling above 1? No, that is the long-term hold that I've been in, ONDS. They reported earnings yesterday. I added after those earnings to lower my cost basis so that I can actually make money on pops above $1. So completely different stock. Sorry, get in there, 13.
CCLD, it's under its VWAP now. And if it doesn't recapture it soon, I think that this is probably going to 185. That's down near the 65 EMA, and that's about where we were getting some resistance in the pre-market before we had a breakout above that level. So 185 to the downside.
LFWD is open. We popped as high as 260. We are holding higher here right at that 250 spot. LFWD.
All right. So this is more or less what we're looking for here. Now we're coming up to that 270, 275 area. I think that's where we're probably going to see the run of this move start to wane a bit.
That's that 200 EMA on the daily at 270 right there. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So if we get rejected there, then we'll have to see what this ends up doing. But because of the straight up impulse move that we have here, I think that this could start to form a bit of a bull flag. So that's the price action I'll be waiting for. In order to do that, we don't really want to see this go beneath 225 again. So.
And real quick here, CRVO, this is curling here. So this was almost down to the 65 EMA on the 5. We are curling and trying to take out that VWAP there. Got that at 749. Okay, now that curl looks like it's dissipating a little bit. CRVO, I would watch this for a potential curl here. MGTX pulling back off of that initial pop that you were able to capitalize on 13, pulling right back down to the VWAP. I'd watch this here at 780. I've got 784 as my VWAP in my broker.
Yeah, this starts losing VWAP. I'd be worried about it. There is this consolidation here from the pre-market where the buyers might start to step in again. But if we do end up trading beneath 775, then I'd be looking at $7 as a support area if there's more downside.
So the buyers did try to step in here and hold it right at VWAP. Now I don't see any, outsized large buying, but they definitely did step in there to try to hold it. Might be bouncing here a little bit. MGTX. No position on this one. I'd be careful with this one. LFWD, by the way, new highs. What, 270 there printed?
Perfect. That's what I was looking for. 275, 270, 275. So here it's right up to that 200 EMA. Trying to get through it, having a little bit of a time. So this is about the price action I was looking for here. Now I want to see this set up and make another bullish pattern so that we can take the next ride up through that 200 EMA.
Okay.
But we'll see. Well, I'm not picking this up right now. I would want to see this maybe come back towards the VWAP a little bit more.
Okay, Intel, this is one of the things I want to see how this closes here today, but so far this is looking pretty good. Intel, another leg higher here, plus 17, almost 18% on the back of that CEO shakeup. By the way, another quick look at SPY here, since we talked about looking at that right out of the open here. We did pull a little bit. We're trying to bounce, but I would really kind of watch this 559 level. I'm not sure we have a significant bounce unless we can take that out.
So for Intel, that level that we wanted to see hold up is $24. That's where the 200-day SMA is. We need to close up today over that and continue to close over that in order to view this as having more upside. Looks pretty good here after blasting through the 50 and 20-day SMA. So I want to see that 200 get captured now as well.
Yeah, agreed. That 200 is at 24.75. Raj here was asking, what do you think of Intel? I think more positively of it now, Raj. One of the big things that I was waiting for here in Intel was going to be a CEO shakeup. I know we had Zissner in there as the interim CEO, but now it looks like we finalized the CEO. The dude's resume looks pretty good, was on the board of directors, so he knows Intel's business, knows the company pretty well. Definitely seems optimistic on the surface here. I will say, don't have any active position here because I actually traded this off the tip that we got from our Benzinga Pro member a couple of weeks ago on that move from 19 to 25. So I currently don't have a position. However, given the news and the price action here today, I like it. I agree with 13 wholeheartedly. Would really like to see this close above 24.75 today.
Yeah, there might be some more news coming as to what to do with their foundry business. So CEO is a first positive step. I expect there to be some more headlines coming later on with Intel that helps lift the stock up.
QBTS, nice rip here out of the open. Sarah Sassy QBTS, awesome. I am out. Awesome job on that trade. We gave you that article earlier on the breakthrough on the quantum annealing that they had. They also reported earnings. Looks like the conference call went well. That's now over. Stock printing higher here. While I still think that the quantum names are a ways off, the news flow here, the earnings here, clearly driving this one. Let's take another quick look at some of the quantum names. Seem to be following suit here. Rigetti above yesterday's intraday high. IONQ, we had a short report with that. Oh, look at that. That is already trying to go green here. In fact, it did go green. I beg your pardon, up by 2% here. This actually trying to go higher. Watch this IONQ, watch this $23 level. Tell you what, if we can get above that, look out. I would imagine that there were plenty of people that kind of joined short on that Carisdale report.
Life Ward almost back tested the VWAP. It didn't really get the formation I'm looking for, but we still got that VWAP back test. And then it just said, all right, that's good enough. Let's go. And then it went up to almost $3, where I see that as being the next big resistance area. And if you look at any chart, especially the longer term time frames, like a day, you can see that $3 area, that was a big support area before it lost it on in October of last year. So $3 is going to be a big resistance area that if we recapture this and hold above it, that could be some good upside in the future for this stock.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I also think this could probably test this 330 area here, 330, 340 area. If that gets rolling, we'll see if it's got the strength to do that here. SPGC, this was a penny stock. This was rolling in the pre-market. It's really kind of come back in a little bit. SSP, this is EW Scripps, another huge move higher here out of the open on good volume. We traded this one yesterday, didn't we?
I'm sorry, which one? SSP?
Ticker SSP, yeah.
Yeah, this was on the movers from yesterday. It's one of the ones, and now we're seeing some more because it's relative volume. Yeah, because look at the volume from yesterday. That's definitely.
No question. Good morning, Mike. It's great to see you.
Hey, Mike.
Hope you're doing well here today. Thanks for joining us.
Jonathan Cooper's saying gold leading the way up. That's another thing we also discussed in the happy hour chat was gold was leading the way, looking for 3,000 probably sometime this week, maybe today, that the gold price might hit 3,000. Now, another trade you can keep an eye on, or maybe you can take if you want. Silver has been doing really well too, and if the price of gold is rising, so too will the gold-silver ratio. And typically, what will happen is silver will end up catching up to gold prices. So with the gold-silver ratio being as high as it is, it leads me to believe that we're going to see a continuation of rising prices in silver as well.
Okay. Good stuff there on gold. Market here starting to pull. So starting to pull. S&P 500 is lower here. One of the things I'd be watching here for the S&P, the 555 level, right? This marked the pre-market low yesterday. I know we pulled beneath that level intraday yesterday. I'd still really kind of want to watch 555 here. We'll see if we end up breaking that to the downside here. By the way, MGTX might be curling for another move to the highs. MGTX.
Excellent. Yeah, we actually got a support from 555 in the SPY this morning after the pre-market trading opened. So absolutely, that's an important area of support. Might be getting a bit of a trend here with the price this morning.
Meta pulling 2% here. So Meta, I know this popped yesterday. We had Anne Marie talk about the Meta trade. I think that was on Tuesday. Right. I think she said she filled that yesterday. She was in our chat yesterday saying she filled that move to the downside. That's no surprise to see this moving to the downside and printing already on Meta, actually below yesterday's intraday low. I'd watch the 600 level next here, META, Meta.
So they also apparently have some kind of AI chip, their own AI chip that they've been developing. So they don't want to continue to rely on NVIDIA. So that's another company that's trying to move away from NVIDIA. You have Microsoft, you have Meta. I want to say Google was trying to do it as well, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But they want to, companies are trying to slash their dependency on NVIDIA by making their own custom chips. That could be good for Broadcom and these other chip manufacturers.
QBTS looks like this is going to test 7 here on QBTS. Crow mentioning Ray. This was another one that was on the move yesterday. Ray Tech Holdings. Looks like we're actually trying to break out of the consolidate. Boy, this had one move early in the day, and then that was it. It was the day before that this thing really got rolling. Ray actually might be getting going here. I'd watch that 2 level if we can get there.
High from yesterday in Ray is 185. We almost just barely hit that. We're 2 cents away. So that would be the level I'd keep an eye on for a breakout. Question. And then if you look at the after hours the day before yesterday, you can see that 185 was a support area before it lost it toward the end of the day before after hours trading closed. 185, that's the level to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Totally agree.
SSP really extending? Yeah, I think it is too.
Which one? SSP?
Yeah. Let's see, got up to 282 and then pulled almost back down to VWAP. So VWAP being at 250.
By the way, BLDE, that's that Blade Air Mobility. We talked a little bit about Archer earlier. Blade here, BLDE, also had earnings this morning. Blade Air Mobility shares trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 sales. By the way, MGTX, one that we were just looking at there, that is now evaporated its potential curl and broken and going lower now, MGTX. I'd watch the $7 level, which is that 65 EMA on the 5-minute.
Yeah, you know, the other eVTOL plays not all doing as well as Archer. Joby actually down today, probably on the news that it's not getting courted by Palantir.
Yeah, if you're not having some deal with Palantir, are you even doing business? I mean, that seems to be what's going on there. CRVO, by the way, this came back into that 65 EMA on the 5. As we were talking here, it actually just broke that to the downside.
All right, let's see here.
LFWD pulling back here. What was the pullback level that you looked for on this? We did sink right beneath the VWAP. Maybe we can recapture that. I've got the VWAP on LFWD at 255.
The pullback level, let me see here.
And we just recaptured that. I'd watch this LFWD. I'm not sure this is done. No position here for me, but I'd watch this one.
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to put in, okay. Well, it is trying to recapture VWAP. If it successfully does that, then maybe we go on another move up to 3. It seems to me like the SPY is just broken a trend here, and we might see some more movement down towards 555. That's kind of what it looks like to me. And we're really starting to fall down towards 555 now. Wow, look at this move down.
LFWD bouncing at the same time the SPY is moving down. Let me put that on here.
That's a good point about Pfizer, Savage Trades. It has been hammered ever since the trade on vaccines from the pandemic started to wane. I mean, Moderna, look at that. That thing got absolutely slapped since it's off its highs, and that was the COVID play. Did you ever trade that one during Moderna? Did you ever trade that one during?
Yes. Oh God. So Moderna. So, dude. So first
here we go, folks. Get ready.
No, I mean, this was wild. This was wild. I don't talk about this very often, but since you asked me here, we can talk about it. So, first of all, the beginning of the pandemic, I did not have the same thoughts that I have now at the beginning of the pandemic. Let me just put that out there. I'll let you guys figure it out. The one thing I will say here is this stock moved from about $18 when I first looked at it to over 400. Okay, over 500. I think it pretty much went to 500. There was one day where this was one of the big movers, and I was actually talking with Andy from Mighty Soldiers Trades, friend of Benzinga here, about this. I'm pretty sure he traded it. I don't want to speak for him, but I'm pretty sure he was trading it. I think I took this thing from about $19 to like 28, and I was like, oh man, what a trade that was. Now, obviously, hindsight, this thing going to 500, that was a pretty crappy trade, to be quite honest with you. But at the time, it was great, and I made some money off of that. I had said something online that got found by a crazy person, and that's me being nice. Okay, found by a crazy person who then sent an email to me and was basically just completely criticizing me, saying how fake Moderna was. All of this stuff is going to be poison, this, that, and the other thing. I wasn't really sure what he was referring to, so I was like, hey, it's spring. The weather's supposed to be nice. Like, let's not yell at each other. Go out and smile. Enjoy your weekend. Well, apparently telling this individual to enjoy his weekend was the trigger, because he went off. He emailed Jason. He added me to the email saying this guy's a complete moron. He went on my LinkedIn saying that I'm going to be in a bread line begging for bread and I'm going to be unemployed because I'm such an effing moron. Like, it was crazy. So much so that Jason at the time called me. He's like, what's going on? And I was like, dude, I don't know what's going on. Here's everything that I sent to this guy. This is what I was doing. Here's the trade that I made. I think the dude's crazy. So Jason, being Jason, says, I'm going to take this over. I'm going to kill him with kindness. I'm going to do this. An hour later, calls me back. He's like, dude, that dude is crazy. That dude is crazy. Like, I've been trying to talk him down, and he was just going off. So Moderna, yes, I traded it. I felt really good about trading it. In hindsight, my trade looks like dog water. And it was, without a doubt, like, people on the internet can be crazy. This was one of those wake-up calls where it's like, holy smokes, I better make sure that I'm packing every time I step out of my house, because, oh my God, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So yes, sorry about the tangent there, but yes, I did trade this around COVID. Oh my God.
I like that story.
I mean, it was.
Anytime you bring Jason into it, it's a good one,
dude. I didn't bring Jason into it. Like, the guy brought Jason into it. Now, thankfully, okay, Jason is a reasonable person and was able to figure out what was going on. But my God, I mean,
while you were telling the story, we were getting some headlines here. So I'll go through it first. SQQQ. That's been killer this morning, and I can show you what I was watching on the SPY. And I know that's not the same as the Qs, but I was watching the SPY. And that was telling me that we were about to break to 555. We're almost there. Other news that we were getting, Palantir is partnering with Databricks. We were getting asked, is Databricks going to IPO? We thought they were going to do that at some point soon here. We have not seen that yet, but they, as far as we know, they still plan to IPO. Just don't know exactly when. And then we also got some other news that Oracle is a leading contender to be the company that runs I guess the data center or or manages the data center for TikTok. So they're part of a new TikTok deal, taking over that. So we'll see what ends up coming out of that. Yeah, J Harris SPY hit 555. Actually, just bounced, just pennies away. I think we actually need to actually hit 555. We got pretty close, but the print that I have, the low print, is 18 cents away from 555. Maybe we do reverse here, but I think we still need to see that actual number show up on our screen, and it might happen here. But yeah, so SQQQ been great.
You had just told me about the SQQQ. One of the things that I'm looking to do here is I'm looking to trade these. So SQQQ becoming pretty extended away from the VWAP. That has me looking at TQQQ here. And I think that one of the things that we're going to do here, I'm going to try some right here. I'm going to try to scale into this here. So I'm going to add in some small, filled there at 59, by the way.
Yep. Got our actual 555 print. Might turn around here now. Or go lower, but looks like this is where the area of support would be, especially with how low the RSI is. And just like yesterday, we could end up trading a little bit lower, maybe down into the 54 area, like that handle, before we reverse. So we'll see if we end up getting that here as well.
All right, we're continuing to pull here. So I would say 58.50 and maybe 58. I'd add a little bit more here. First buy was at 59 even on TQQQ. Looking for a reversal here. Let me zoom out here. We'll also talk about a stop. The one thing that I will say here on these is that I really want to try and give it a little bit more. It's just one of the reasons I'm reducing the initial buy on the position size. I really don't want to be stopped out from this. I would say if this thing really starts to plummet, maybe 57, maybe I'll start looking at that. But again, thesis here, as we get extended from the VWAP, I think we're going to have a regression back to the VWAP there.
Yeah, and the trend line that I was looking at, I don't know if you want to draw this, but this is what made me look to the SQQQ because I just prefer trading.
Okay, so you want me to draw the trend line on SQQQ?
No, it's on SPY. That's why I'm just kind of putting it out there that I know that SPY is not the Qs, but I watch SPY and then I make a decision on.
Gotcha. I do the same thing.
So if you look at the SPY on a 5-minute chart, you can see that at about 4:15 this morning, we had the low print beneath 555. I started there and drew through the low point at 8:10 this morning. And then I just kept drawing that. And then you can see that after we opened, we came down to this trend line. And as soon as we started to lose that, I was like, now's the time to start getting in here. And we really fell off that trend line there.
Yeah, I see it. I think I got it here.
Yeah.
By the way, real quickly here, it looks like MGTX might be trying to curl. I would be careful with that. I'm not sure I really buy that here, but it is trying to curl.
It should go positive now.
What should?
TQQQ. I think it may have just gone positive for you.
I'll go back to it here in a sec. CRVO, this did bounce off that 65 EMA on the 5. It's actually trying to recapture VWAP. So if you're looking to trade CRVO, we might have that here. TQQQ, we're actually really close to break even there, down by only 10 cents.
All right. So trying to hold this 555 right now.
We'll see. Market really kind of needs to bounce. We'll see if it does that. Yeah. Couple of things here real quick. Ryan just put on the Lulu pants and it will be repelling to folks. Thank you, Wisdom. That's kind. You're kind.
I gotta shout out Savage Trades for putting out all these names that have been hammered down from their highs. Like some of them are down on 23, 25, 50 almost % in some of these names. So just appreciate you putting these out there. It's important piece of information you're sharing with us.
TQQQ continuing to pull here. We'll wait for another ad there. Real quick. Also, Jane, Ryan, that story makes me scared for you. I wouldn't worry. I can handle myself. I'm a big boy. There was another one in here that was pretty good. James says, how dare you? I know. How dare? How dare I talk about stocks on a daily basis there? Can you believe that? Just unbelievable. I did like, producer, where was that? I was trying to read that comment. I can't find, I don't know where you put that.
Oh, FST or VTOL. Man, I'm really hoping we see VTOLs. That would be just the most amazing thing. I can't wait. I know it's a scary thought having all these vehicles flying around above you, but anybody that grew up in the 70s, 80s has ever thought, or maybe even that if you grew up watching the Jetsons, you've been waiting for the flying car. You have.
HMR, this ended up going here. We actually took the VWAP out here on HMR.
What a great move.
Breaking news here from the producer. Benzinga is partnering with Palantir for an automated AI pre-market stock show. That's, of course, a parody. Just kidding. Producers all over that, though. By the way, Breath, which had been positive all morning, has now gone negative across the board. SPY, Dow, Qs, Russell, and Nice, all negative. Besant is on CNBC right now, the Treasury Secretary. I can't hear what he's saying, but he's delivering some remarks. Market tried to recapture, the SPY tried to recapture 555 right there.
So it's funny. HMR, we went down to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, and then we finally got our high volume breakthrough of that trend line that we drew earlier. Finally. So now we're trading above VWAP. And it looks to me like 325 to 330 is going to be a breakout spot. So let's see what we get here. We're really close to that too. So, but the volume seems to be drying up a little bit. Need to have high volume to get through 325. Sorry.
Will, that's okay. Will's mentioning Palantir is tumbling. We talked about Palantir continuing to sell off despite the news of some of these partnerships here. Palantir looks like this is not done yet. I'm still waiting out 60 on Palantir, by the way.
Is it? You might be right at some point, but I don't think AI can ever look as pretty as us.
Oh,
hey, Amanda.
Oh, how about that? 13 has full belief in you that the AI will not take us out.
Nope. LFWD looking to recapture VWAP. I currently have that at 256. It's moving back up there. Don't know if we'll recapture or get rejected. Cooler looks like that's trying to turn around as well. QBTS, that's lost VWAP, but it's starting to find some support down at 630. That's so it's getting support from the highs from yesterday's trading in QBTS. So we'll see if we can bounce off that area. Intel getting VWAP support. That might be turning around as well. Wow. Telomere's doing really well. TQQQ, here we go with some reversal action here. That's looking much better.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to hear what Besant is talking about. Looks like the comment here is not concerned with a little volatility over the last 3 weeks. That seems to be a common theme coming out of really anyone that is either in the government or has a position like that. Again, this is another reason why I'm kind of waiting out the seasonality that we're in. I feel like these folks all know about that. I wouldn't be shocked if the rest of March here was a little bit negative. But in any case, still kind of waiting that out. I'll let if I catch anything here from what Besant is saying that might be important, I'll let you know. If you folks hear any of that, let me know. That'll work. Here's your TQQQ chart. We did go green here.
Sweet one is saying, hey, 13, check on your DG. He's talking about Dollar General. I'm in this for for at least a year, probably longer. It depends on what happens with it, but I'm expecting this to do pretty well. Look like we're trying to recapture 80. That's an important level. 85 is another one. Got some. We hit some resistance on Monday at 85. That pulled it down here. But now with the earnings report, we're trading back up. So nice to see that happening today. I'm in this for the long run, and the whole thought here is on a weakening consumer or maybe even a recession. Yeah, Dollar General is, I think, will do better than some of these other retailer grocer names.
Okay, and actually, this Dollar General, what kind of time? Oh, you said over a year. Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually think that the next move here is likely going to be higher out of this consolidation area. Mm-hmm. I would watch to see what this thing does around the. This is interesting. I actually might look at calls for a swing long here on DG. I wonder what that option chain looks like.
They pay a dividend. It's going to be a value name. So if the growth scare continues, then we'll get rotation into other value names like this one. But it's I like this name. It's one of like the few grocers that has been hammered, while all the other ones like Walmart, Costco have been on a run, and it's because the Dollar General has been spending a lot of money opening their locations. So with a lot of that out of the way, they're in a really good position to help with the rural customers that don't have a lot of grocers near them. So I think Dollar General is going to be a good one, especially with how much it's been hammered.
Okay. Good stuff there. Let me go back to the main workspace here. I want to catch up. Rustam's asking if we can take a look at RCAT. We sure can. Is RCAT doing anything here today, or are we just looking at it for the heck of it? So, okay. So it's holding the $5 here. I don't really think there's anything new on RCAT, though. Drone operations and demand skyrocketing as manufacturers ramp up production efforts. We heard that out of the Ondas CEO on the earnings call. So it looks like we're getting another PR here on RCAT. I still think I like this closer to 4 if it comes in. I don't think RCAT is done by any means, but might just be kind of taking a temporary breath here. 13. I don't know if you have RCAT levels for Rustam here. Also, Alexander saying, I just traded TQQQ calls from 157 to 191. Okay, good stuff there on that. Here's the one thing I will say. If you're able to make money off of that, keep hitting it, bro. We're 40 cents higher now, so this is actually working pretty well. When we get back to the VWAP there, that's going to be about 60. Probably look to peel that off. It never really dropped enough for me to add to it, so the position's not huge, but I'll trade this back and forth here today. The one thing I will say about the calls and the puts on this, it's more difficult, at least in my experience, way more difficult to actually trade the options on this. You're trading a levered product of a levered product, which means you just basically need to be right or those things are get obliterated. I've had more success trading the actual equity, but shout out to you for getting some green on the screen early on here. That's great.
For RCAT, one of the big levels that I would point out we've already hit and got support from, that'd be the 200-day SMA. That's been, it's caught the fall basically. It's helping to keep this from going down further. Now, what you would want to see is a move up and away from the 200-day SMA, and I think if that happens, you're going to start to run into resistance between 560 and 565. That's where we were, after we had this initial sell-off, that's where some of these green candles before the 200-day SMA, they were trying to rebound, but ended up going lower. Also, back in November of last year, 562 was a prominent level on a way up here. It was initially resistance on November 18th. Spent the next day down there, but on the 20th, it opened at that 520. I'm sorry, that 562 level and went straight up. So 562. I'm just going to say 560 to 565. That particular range to watch for in RCAT.
Let me ask you a question here. Does the move down to and then the consolidation on the 200-day here on RCAT, does this help resolve the head and shoulders that was as clear as day on this chart? Like, do you think that this formation is the head and shoulders is resolved as of right now?
I would call it resolved. Yeah.
Okay. I would too. I'm just wondering if that was a big enough drop. The consolidation, frankly, around the 200-day is good enough for me there.
Yeah. I could even say that if the 200 doesn't hold, that $4 even looks pretty good. But it's starting to look like this. It's starting to look like this is trying to turn around here. So
okay,
it might need until next week to really show signs of reversing. But for now, this consolidation, this sideways price action is what you want to see following a steep drop like this. Because if you had a quick reversal and a rebound, that'd be a little bit more bearish to me. So this consolidation is looking pretty good.
Okay. TQQQ here, it looks like we're kind of consolidating here. So this really quickly, let me actually turn some of these EMAs off because this strategy is something that I'm going to look to repeat over and over again. First of all, I'm going to put this on the backdrop here of Buffalo by Bicycles comment. I know a guy that only trades SQQQ and QQQ. I also know these people. In fact, I know somebody that literally trades SPY and QQQ only, and one of his big part of his strategies is selling upside calls against that are secured by stock. That's another story for another day. But the big thing here with some of these ETFs, again, it's all about the VWAP. And when it becomes extended from the VWAP, it loves to do this. It loves to come back here. So actually might take this here since it's kind of consolidating. I'll see if I can, let me put the order out and see if I can get filled at 59.50. Now we're coming back in. We'll see.
This is a bear flag.
What?
It's a bear flag. That's what I was trying to point out here just a moment ago on the SPY. Like, okay, so finish your statement there, and I'll show you what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, basically, we became extended from the VWAP. We've now bounced back to the VWAP, looking to get some green on the screen here. Book one of those trades, and we'll be all set. And then we'll wait for this to set up here again.
So go to your SPY 5-minute chart again, where you drew that trend line, and we're coming up to back test that trend line now. Now, I would expect that this trend line is going to be a resistance area, and that's going to send the SPY back down to 555, maybe even lower. So this, we were just talking about with that other stock, we were just mentioning RCAT, how we were getting consolidation after the drop, and not this quick sharp reversal where it comes right back up. This is what we want to avoid. So if we start getting bounces like this, where it's very a quick drop down and a quick rebound, that's going to create a bear flag almost every time. And now that we have this trend line here in the SPY that we identified where the breakdown is going to happen, that I'm now going to be looking at that for resistance area. So if we see the price trade up to this trend line, I think that's going to be a good indication that you're going to want to take a short position as the SPY starts to go lower.
Okay. And we're right there and filled. Boom. TQQQ out. Green on the screen. 50 cents on the first trade here. That is awesome. So here's the thing about this trend line that you're mentioning, real quick, 13. We actually did. This is actually lining up with the VWAP. Now, I want to see what happens here really quickly. Back to the TQQQ. We were talking about this. So I did get the price that I was looking for, but man, we popped right above that. Let's see if this sets up here. This will also work in the other direction, right? So if TQQQ runs here and we start to get extended on the SQQQ, I'll look to trade that as well. Let's see if SQQQ comes in at all here and we can try and reverse that trade. I'm going to watch both of these here the rest of the day. 1 for 1 here, 50-cent scalp on that. Got some green on the screen.
And now the SQQQ is also coming down to its VWAP as well.
Yep.
And so now we did trade a little bit above that trend line, but we can expect some price action to get above there. Ultimately, we want to see a close beneath that trend line, just like we saw the closes when we were down visiting 555. They ended up closing just above that level. So still didn't get a breakdown, even though we printed beneath there. So watching to see if we get this. We have another minute and a half left in this candle anyway. So need to see that weakness here, this pull back beneath the trend line. So far, it's given us some pretty good price action here in the SQQQ.
So far, really, really happy that these moves away from the volume weighted average price are actually producing trade setups. This to me is going to be much easier to follow. At this point now, at least with this kind of getting locked in, especially starting off here with a dub, I'm going to keep trying to hit this here today. I'm going to keep trying to look at this here today. Okay, real quick. There were a couple of other things I wanted to go over here real fast. Dr. Manred said, Ryan, I love the energy. One day off worked. Dude, let me tell you something. It was fast. Like as soon as I got off here, and as soon as I laid down, I was like, man, I feel better. I don't know what happened. I'm still not 100% sure what happened, but man, oh man, did my body need it. Listen to your body, folks. I'm glad to be back. And I'll tell you something, I'm one of those people that I love relaxing when the time is right. But my God, if I'm forced into my bed, it just gets old. It gets old so fast. By the way, while we're trading up here, looking at the TQQQ, breath now changing again. S&P 500, Dow, and Nice all in the green. Russell's trying to go green. SQQQ, or excuse me, the QQQ still the laggard there, at least on the breath. We'll see if that changes.
I took out that trend line, so might start trading above it. Let's see what happens to this.
Sorry to interrupt. TQQQ. Though that's going to be hard for me to say over and over again. This actually reached my initial target there. We were talking about 60 initially. Changed that to 550 on the move up, and we were talking about testing that trend line. But here we go. Look at that. One big move away from the VWAP has already resulted in a trade. Let's go the other direction and hit SQQQ on the way back in. I'm all for it. I might do this every day now, honestly. HMR getting mentioned here. HMR actually looks like this might break 325. We might actually try that 340, 343 pre-market high here, HMR.
Yeah, MGTX also coming back up to its VWAP. That's that could be a breakout pretty soon here as well. LFWD is also trading above its VWAP again. So it looks like the market breadth has changed. We are getting, we are holding above that trend line line, so not reversing quite yet. CRVO, that's breaking down. Actually, it's really starting to accelerate to the downside as I talk.
It might be Besson's comments. Again, I can't hear everything he's saying. I do see here Besson, quote, a detox does not have to be a recession. So again, the entire administration seems to want a reset here, which makes a lot of sense to me. It's something I've been waiting for a long time. But it does seem like they're trying to thread a needle here and kind of avoid anything, really, really scary. But we'll see if they're successful in doing that here.
Yeah, HMR was massive. That was a really, really great move.
Oh, look at that. That did. Oh my God. As soon as I took it off the screen, we popped right through 325, went to those highs, went through those and pulled. Oh man, that's textbook. And by the way, TQQQ through 60 there. So again, as far as the initial thought on that potential trade here, my initial target was in fact 60. If you folks are trading that, the big thesis here is when we get extended from that, I'm going to take gains when we get back there. We already saw it here. That trade, as far as I had it designed, should be out of that one, or at least page yourself so that this can't go negative on you. I'm doing these pretty small too, just so I can stay nimble throughout the course of the day.
Yeah, so far that trend line that was resistance, they took that out. Now they're coming up to 559. That was an area this morning as well, so we'll see what happens up there. And this could be one of those situations that we've been seeing, throughout this week, where we sell off, and then as soon as we hit one of those key support levels, we just go on this massive run. Happened yesterday with 555. We went all the way up to the 162, I think, almost. Yeah, almost got up to 162, and just kind of went sideways there. So we'll see if that ends up happening as well. That 559 and that 561 range that I was outlining yesterday really was in play a lot.
Real quick here, just saw a tweet come across the wire. It is completely unmarket related. So if you're locked in, just ignore it. But this is one of the coolest hockey photographs I've ever seen taken. One of the coolest hockey photographs I've ever seen taken.
Cooler just broke through its VWAP. QBTS is it broke through its VWAP. Now it's on a move up to 7.
I would imagine the rest of these quantum names are pretty much moving with that as well. Rigetti, wow, this really kind of overshot and came back in. How is IONQ doing after the Kerrisdale short report? Looks like this did move lower. I'd watch that around VWAP though. IONQ. RGC, what happened with this one? This did pop. This has been halted 4 times, holding at about plus 60%. Did we have news on this one? I don't. With a schedule 13D, who took a stake?
Stake. All right. Spy really on
Hong Kong? I don't know. It's moving on a 13D. I don't know if I trust it, but that's what's going on here. Okay. All right, 13. Let me put one of these stocks on the screen. I'm going to step away for just 1 second. I'm going to leave HMR up here. Be right back.
All right. And I'm looking at QBTS. That continues to move up, looking for 7 still. Cooler also doing the same thing. The intraday high for Cooler is 145. Looks like it's trying to push up to that level as well. MGTX also on the high side of VWAP, but looks like this is starting to slow down here. Volume is not looking great. We'll see what ends up happening with this one. INTC, Intel, that's kind of going sideways. Still elevated above VWAP, but kind of going into the sideways pattern. Got your sell on Bond. Nice job. Uber reverse. What's Uber looking like? Oh, okay. So yeah, reversed off of the 70 area, 70.50 looks like, coming up to the, what is this, the just before we opened high. So SQQQ is the short ETF to the Q. So if you look at QQQ, that's the ETF for Nasdaq. SQQQ is a leveraged bearish position that you can trade. So when the Qs are going down, SQQ is the one you want to be in. Whereas if the Qs are going up, you want to be in TQQQ. It's just a way to play it without having to buy or short the large share prices of the Qs, and still have the liquidity.
The other thing, I don't know if you covered this, but just because I came back here, as far as my selection of which one do I trade, Bonnie, I want to know, or excuse me, I am a long bias trader. So if I am given an opportunity, you can either go long or you can go short. I'm going to go long pretty much all of the time. So because we have these ETFs that mirror in both direction, I'm in luck. I never have to go short here. So you're asking, why did I choose TQQ for this trade? Well, because the TQQQ was the one that was really selling off. It was becoming extended from the VWAP to the downside, which means a regression back to the VWAP means that this is going to go up. Thus, I'm going to go long. Now that we've done this, I would flip to the SQQQ. If the current move that we see, if the SPY continues to trade up, or if the market, I should say, because the Qs, you were just explaining that. If the market moves up here, it's reasonable to assume that the Qs are going to move down, become extended from the VWAP to the downside, and then I would buy SQQQ on the possibility of this moving back to the VWAP. So I selected TQQQ on that first trade because I want to go long, not short, and that was the ETF that was beneath the VWAP, not above the VWAP. And Beach Bum here saying, gotta love inverse short ETFs so you can short in retirement accounts. Well, hey, if you're going to short in your retirement account, that's going to be up to you. I'm going to let you figure that one out. Again, my big thing here, I'm always trying to go long. If I'm given a choice, I want to go long, not short. That's just my own, just personal view of the market and how I want to trade this stuff.
Yeah, you're right, Robert. They have been critical. SQQQ has been great. Especially they were really good the past couple of days, like really good.
And by the way, Matt Money Maley has been absolutely destroying those trades. He is doing so well. Sometimes I just follow him. I normally look at his material when I'm off the show here, and it's not my own trade, so I normally don't say anything because I'm basically following Matt. But he is making so much money off of those folks. If you want help and you want, to look at somebody that might be trading some of these things, Matt Maley, he's the one to go to. He is the one to go to.
FCX still having a good day too. I'm waiting for this one to get some consistent closes above its 50-day SMA because I think it could break the trend line here that we established back from September. Trump said it once during his congressional address. He's regarding copper. So if we get some kind of tariff announcement on copper, I think this could be FCX could be one that really does well. They have copper mine sources in the U.S. So interesting stock.
Sorry, just looking around here at some stuff. Bitcoin down here 82K. Come to Papa. Come on into that 70K. TQQQ continuing to trade higher here now. So again, what I'm watching on this move is going to be the SQQQ. I'm looking for a pretty extreme divergence from the VWAP. I'd be looking at maybe $1, right? So the VWAP is currently at 38.20. I think if this can get down to 37.20, we might be in a buy zone.
Yeah, it almost was extended $1 earlier this morning when it got up to 39.11.
Yep.
That was because I had VWAP at about 38.25, so almost $1 away.
And if I just visualize the trade that I made, looking at SQQQ, what I did is I basically bought the TQQQ right here. Mm-hmm. Right. So I looked for the other one, but I was trying to play that exact move that we ended up getting here. By the way, Kevin bringing up NVIDIA, look at NVIDIA, the dip to 114, a $3.50 rip. I actually think this could really kind of print 118. Geez, easy for me to say.
Yeah.
And let me while you're going, let me take a quick look at the market overview here. Go ahead, 13. Sorry about that.
I got 117 marked off for NVIDIA. I had 113 and 117 as important levels here when we were coming to the downside. 117 I've had for a while. That's just been a level that I've just always kept an eye on for NVIDIA. So getting back above that, and then after we test 120, that seems to be what we could end up doing if we close above 117 today.
Real quick here, just looking at the heat map, it looks like this is kind of an invert, right? when we were watching the market really get pounded here, tech was down, communication services was down, financials was down. Really, healthcare, consumer staples were the only ones that were really kind of buoying us. Well, now we kind of see the opposite here, right? Financials look really strong today, probably the strongest pocket here today. Information technology, with the exception of Adobe, Palantir, and CRM, actually looks pretty good here today. Energy looks pretty good here today. Consumer discretionary getting hit a little bit here today. So just an interesting kind of back and forth here with the market as it figures out where we're going to go next. By the way, market really kind of stopped here. So let me go back to the SPY. Really, that bounce really kind of what? SPY. That bounce really kind of stopped here, at least so far.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure about some of these right now. Looks like Intel's still trying to get back up to 2450, but it's slowly.
Since the open.
CCLD with a nice curl off the bottom. I don't know what this is. Care Cloud. I don't know how much is going to be there. HMR kind of going sideways right now.
Izzy mentioning Bank of America calls. Are you seeing those getting bought, Izzy? I didn't see anything on my scan. I set this today, didn't I? I guess let me just be sure that I did that. Let me know. Are you seeing Bank of America calls? Oh, I didn't adjust this. This was my own fault. And you know what's funny about that? I see Wells Fargo calls immediately, Citibank calls immediately. What else is on here, Izzy?
Yeah, Bank of America, under 30 RSI, just had a really bad month so far.
All of the financials have really struggled.
Yep. So, if this does turn around, then I'd be looking for a back test of the 200-day SMA.
You can go to my bigger chart here and visualize that for us.
Yeah, so somewhere between $42.50 to $43. That seems like the range of where there might be some resistance in BAC on the way up.
Okay.
So we had a really nice turnaround in the market. Is SQQQ doing much better now? Right down to that trend line again and kind of through it. So had a big impulse move up through that trend line and almost hit 559. Now we're coming back down to the trend line.
So just kind of going back to the strategy here that I'm going to try to implement. While that last move down in SQQQ wasn't going to be big enough for my taste, if you're trying to be more active on this, I could absolutely see why maybe you're nibbling every time we make a big swing like this. If you were doing that, you'd already be in the green here. I would have wanted to wait for more of a move, for this to be more extended, and then try to trade it. But worth noting here, just to kind of give you some more ideas on how you can actually do this. These are so liquid that you really shouldn't get too off sides. If the trade just doesn't work, just stop out and wait for it to set up again. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm going to target this. I feel like I can do it pretty effectively.
LFWD starting to pull now. MACD was indicating that this might roll over, and then you also had some of these upper shadows start to form while the price is beneath the VWAP. Now we're starting to get a breakdown here. Should this continue to move down, I think you may get support probably just after $2 at 195-ish. That's where I see the earliest area of support. And then look at the see, and then now the SPY is rebounding off that trend line, and it's sending the TQQQ back up. Oh man,
Do you see why we watch these now?
Yeah. Oh, you probably weren't asking me, but yeah.
No, I was asking the royal you. I was asking anybody here. You, chat, anyone.
QBTS trying to push up again, I think. It needs more volume, though.
Here we go. Here's another great stat. Did you have something? Go ahead.
No, I was just mentioning. I was looking at what Robert was saying about PPI. That came in, way below expectation. Yep. Just like CPI did. I was looking for.
And we talked about those often mirroring each other. Okay, here we go. Another Ryan Dietrich. I'm going to start calling him the stat master. If anyone has any objections to that, Ryan Dietrich here. Since World War II, there have been 48 total 10% corrections in the S&P 500. How many turned into bear markets? 12. So about 25% of the time that you get a 10% pullback, a quarter of the time that you get a 10% pullback, you end up in a bear market. So that means 3/4 of the time it's just a regular pullback. That's what some of the stats that we were trying to go over here this morning. Then don't forget, we already had 2 bear markets to start this decade, and those were the 2 closest bear markets in history. How often does a correction turn into a bear market? 25% of the time. Pretty interesting stat here. God, we love Ryan. I love someone that is that into stats, and he's got a great name.
I'm pretty sure we already had 2 corrections since the last bear market. I don't know if we've had a third. So I guess with two corrections out of the way, does that kind of increase the chance that this ends up being a bear market? I guess that's kind of what I'm wondering is like, if with the 25% possibility of a correction turning into a bear market, having 2 corrections out of the way, is that chance still 25%, or is it now increased because we've already had a couple of
I see where you're going with that. I would say that's probably in favor, right? So we had 2 of those bounces that actually were bounces, not bear markets, right? We had the 2 10% corrections that did not turn into a bear market. So perhaps we're one closer there.
Yeah, that's all I was getting at. I mean, I know it doesn't really change the math, but it just kind of makes you wonder if we've already had this price action that didn't result in bear markets. Does it increase the chance that the next one could? Is all I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I got you. I follow you.
All right, so some of these movers from this morning really starting to come in now. Looks like QBTS coming back in towards VWAP.
Egg prices still in a free fall. That's good to see. By the way, the last time I went to Costco, I bought 18 organic grade A eggs, and they were like $7. Really wasn't even that bad. Now prices are lower.
Happened just like that.
That's amazing. It happens when you kill off the chickens. All right. Don't really see anything else crazy out there.
The math works. Thanks, Dr. Manred.
What happened?
He said the math works.
Mathing is fun.
It is.
What's going on with TTD, guys? The trade desk. Let's take a look. Was there any news on the trade desk? This is kind of an orderly move down here. It is down over 5%.
Downgrade.
So you had So this is today, right? Needham reiterating a buy, maintaining the 145 price target. We did have unusual option activity to the downside yesterday.
That was a new COO yesterday.
Yeah. So Vivek Kundra, I don't know this person.
Oh gosh.
I understand why you're asking about this. Price target of 145, another price target here of 115. Let's take a look at what some of those other price targets are. The stock, $56. I mean, considerably far away from some of these price targets. 145, 115, 101, 148. These are all 2025 price targets. 101, Scotia Bank with a street low 83 here. I mean, the stock is still 30 points beneath that. So this is not one that I follow very closely. I mean, here's the move down. I guess we should you know what? Let me go to a bigger chart here. 13, maybe we should find some potential bounce spots for the trade desk, ticker TTD.
I might have some for you.
I'm not surprised.
So try that. Yeah, I know. Huh? So and we've death crossed. So it would seem like there could be some more downside ahead. But try this and tell me what you think. Draw a trend line from July 31st of 2023 through all those those peaks that on the way down.
July what?
July 31st, 2023.
That's 31st
Yeah,
here, right here.
yeah, that one there, and
Okay.
just and then draw it through, the September highs, through the February 2024 highs where we had that gap. This is going to be to the downside. There you go. You passed it. There you go. Right
Right
there.
here.
So
Okay.
yeah. So you see how on that
I
February
gotcha.
that February breakout where we gapped up, that was a breakout of the trend. Okay. So if you keep drawing that line, that trend line with keeping those levels in mind, you're going to see that we're approaching that trend line to the downside. And that's interesting because it could be that we don't really hit that trend line very quickly, but we may end up hitting it closer to 40. Now, if you look at it a long enough time frame, you can see in 2022, 40 was where where Trade Desk was bottoming out.
Yeah. Okay.
So that trend line and the
Interesting.
$40 level are a couple of areas of really and you could even put 50 on there too.
Yeah, I was going to say this trend line, the way I have it drawn, 50 seems to be about one of the spots where this would bottom.
Yeah. So using that trend line, that you'd help identify some of these horizontal levels, and 50 and 40 do look pretty good. Maybe even 47.20 or 47 even.
Okay. Good stuff there on the trade desk. No news here, Alexander, but maybe there are some spots there for you. Tell you what, man, oh man, this huge gap down. There's basically no bounces in here. Yikes! And the last time I traded the trade desk was on a 100 breakout. Shout out to Red Dog Scott Redler from T3 Trading, who joins us all the time. He had me looking at this for a while. He's done a really good job trading this. So interesting. What a huge move back down. See if we can catch that on the way back up. You got it, Alex.
Yeah. Let's see. There was something else I was going to bring up, but I can't remember what it was.
HMR, while we were having that discussion, HMR ripped to some new highs
Nice.
here. Our chat was on it, though, so.
Oh, so Robert was mentioning about how the market, some sectors might turn bearish or enter bear territory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of stocks, especially in the semis, they already kind of got down there into that 20% plus area. So yeah, I think we could already be seeing some of that happen.
Okay.
Let me see here, because how far down did Nvidia go off its highs? That's a good place to start.
Let's take a look at that real quickly here. Will saying, Brian, you're great, but Needham is not pronounced Needham. The D is silent. Will, you are great, but my name is not Brian. It's Ryan. The B is silent. I'm sorry. I'm just joking around there. I will try and remember that. Needham.
So
Going forward. Got it.
Nvidia, since that high that we put in on January 7th, just this year, the low that we put in on Tuesday marks a 31+% correction in Nvidia. Actually, that's more bear market. So some of these names already in bear territory, well into bear territory at that. To your point.
Okay, HMR, this is still pounding the highs. I tell you what, the scanner here has kind of dried up, at least from some of our movers that we were looking at earlier. LYT, Junkie Indian Penny stock here is popping on volume. Verizon going higher here, probably because I paid my bill. That's a joke.
LYT Litus.
Poor one. Adobe here getting smoked. Adobe shares trading lower following soft guidance here. You can see they took a leg lower after earnings, beat on the top and bottom line, lower guide, printed lower, and now going lower still here today. Looks like we had a whole bunch of price target re-ratings.
Oh, that $400
all of them lower. Yeah,
that $400 level is such an important area. Like that was where we bounced in January to get back up here, and then it put in a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern, and now it's resolving. But 400, you can look back to February of 2023 and see that was a high that was rejected, and later it was a breakout. So 400, very important level in Adobe. But I've always wondered how this. And maybe somebody knows better than I do, but I've always wondered how this company gets its business along. Because the only thing I know about this company is that the PDFs and I believe some imaging software like like I don't think they do Photoshop, but
They do.
oh, they do. Okay.
Adobe Photoshop, also Lightroom, another one.
Yeah. So aside from those, I don't know where the revenue comes from.
So here's the thing with Adobe. First of all, I hesitate to really kind of smack talk Adobe because this company made me so much money when I was younger. Basically, anyone that was over 50 years old could not figure out how to open PDFs. And that's where I swooped in. And I was able to fill that void there and turn that into a kind of a makeshift tech job earlier. I do think that I feel like Adobe, they put their products, they just bundled their products with everything that had to do with Windows. And so it just kind of proliferated. I will say every person that I talk to that does any type of photo or web design on Macs speak highly of Photoshop and Lightroom and some of the other Premiere Video. That's another one, C-Spot there. That's been a really big mover there.
And I guess my question is, what are they doing in terms of AI? Because I know that AI is really playing a large part in video editing and imaging.
So really quick, I can kind of answer that a little bit. I don't know if you have more on that. What I will say is that some of the AI tools are actually pretty awesome. It's basically like, do you want to just remove this? And it just does a really good job of it. It's not as tedious on the end user. I would imagine the video editing is the same.
Well, thank you for all that. Just real quick, HMR getting a mention here. It's ripping.
It is. I got it on screen. This is at the highs here.
Yeah, looking like it's going to hit 4. And if it does, there's a gap that starts at 4, and that fills like up towards 425. So there's a little 25-cent gap there. This is just crazy coming off of a 145 low from 10. Was this I don't know if this was just a regular IPO or a SPAC.
Yeah, that I don't know. They have a lot of enterprise products for consumer experiences, indeed.
Okay.
Buffalo by Bicycle said, I did Flash and Dreamweaver. I used Dreamweaver a ton. That was basically the only way I could work on web pages. Dreamweaver was actually a really sweet piece of software.
SPY really starting to come back in now, it looks like.
Hellcat's asking me, Ryan, do you ever get Brian at coffee shops? Honestly, I make my coffee at home because I feel like buying coffee out at shops is just like, might as well flush my money down the toilet. But in the times that I mean, picking up a sandwich, picking up a piece of or a cup of coffee, I mean, my name gets mixed up for Brian all of the time. It's been dealing with that for 40 years of my life.
Where do they get the extra B from?
I have no idea. I used to think that I spoke clearly, but maybe it's the Chicago accent. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for that. DLTR, by the way, I know you had talked about Dollar General, ticker DG, Dollar Tree, the other one here, DLTR. This is having another good day, or having a bounce back day after yesterday. CRVO, how's that doing? That was one of our big movers here for the day. How are we doing with CRVO? Gave it up, rejected at the VWAP, rolled over here. CRVO, no bueno.
Jane, can you give me some more info on when HMR was a reverse split? Because this seems too new to have been a reverse split. I mean, I thought this was just an IPO not that long ago.
Yeah, I don't have a reverse split in the calendar here on Pro.
Yeah, if you can give me some information on that, that'd be nice.
All right.
It's seemingly going sideways unless you're HMR.
We do have an all access coming up here in 5 minutes.
Parker's
and then don't forget tomorrow, folks, we've got Mark Petrino coming back in the pre-market.
Parker's asking me thoughts on PPI.
I know. And here, I'm going to give you, I know you didn't ask me, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. No offense to anyone at this company or anyone connected to it. I hope it goes bankrupt and or changes its ticker so that BZ can be our ticker. I know that's not what you were asking for, but that's one of the things that I'm hoping for.
Yeah, it looks like it's well-enough run company to be profitable. I mean, it's very profitable. I don't know where this is out of. Looks like it's a China name. You're asking what I think about it. Well, let me go to the chart. I think that's what you're asking is what does a chart look like to me? And this thing has been on a bit of a recovery here. It looks like it's about to golden cross, which would also help fuel further upside. Looks like 1950 is an interesting area, and we're almost there. I don't know how much we'll get out of a break over 1950. Do they have any catalysts coming up? Also, it's an interactive media, so it's an online recruitment platform. Okay, so I would think that with the employment situation over there, that this may end up getting used a lot, but beyond that, I don't know. Tencent has a stake in this. That's interesting. Let me see what else here. Let me just go to the chart and I'll tell you what I think of the chart. Just give me 1 second here. Draw some stuff. And if there's anything else that you feel like you need to bring up, go for it while I do this.
Yeah, I'm just looking around for anything that's moving here. BON looks like that's getting mentioned here. BON. Looks like this did move through the VWAP here. Bond Natural Life. What is this company? Engaged in the manufacturing of personal care ingredients.
So, for VZ, if this does end up breaking over 1950, because I think that's the big area you want to pay attention to. I would think that because I drew a little bit of a trend line, and I don't know how well it's going to hold up, but it's kind of a trend line that looks like it was providing support back in 2021, and then ever since it had this big move down in March of 2022. It hasn't been able to recapture this trend line. Okay. So you can even draw it from like the peak of January 2023 through the peak of May 2024, and then just extend your lines back both directions to see the trend line I'm referring to. This is the trend line that I think it needs to take out. And once it does, I don't know how much of an impulsive move will get past it, because it's going to be very extended on the RSI. So two things could happen here. Either we get up to 1950 and hit that print, and then we turn around because it's extended, or we blast through 1950 and this trend line and maybe even go up into the low 20s before we come into resistance and then back test this trend line. So this trend line, I feel like, is going to play an important part in the price action beyond 1950.
Okay. Sorry, I was actually looking at a different stock, so I didn't follow any of your instructions there. I apologize, but they were really good instructions, so I'll just throw that out there. Well, we are going to move over here to All Access. Any closing thoughts for the group here, 13?
Well, been a fun morning. We had some really nice squeezing action in the market, but I don't know how long this is going to last. Going to stick to trading the TQQQ and the SQQQ because that seems to be the best trades right now. Folks, well done on your trades this morning, especially with HMR. We'll be back here. I'll be back here tomorrow, and we'll talk more and look for some more things to trade. Until then, take care of yourselves. Maybe go touch some grass and have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Really good stuff, 13. And thanks again yesterday for holding down the fort while I was under the weather. You're very much appreciated. 13's departure leaves room for backup emergency Red Wings goaltender, Dan Leach. Let's bring him on. Dan, how you doing? When do you think you're going to get between the pipes next?
Listen, my GAA, my goals against average, is the best in the NHL and maybe one of the best globally. So listen, the Red Wings are as frustrating as it gets. I can't get mad though, Ryan, as you well know. The Red Wings won 4 Stanley Cups during my adult life and part of my childhood. So, yes, it was a while ago. No, the team is probably not going to the playoffs again. But listen, you got to be grateful for what you got.
That's true. I'll tell you what. It was a must-win game last night over the Sabres there. 7-3 win. As a Chicago boy, I love seeing DeBrincat and Kane still getting it done. What do you got coming up for us on All Access?
Well, first off, I'm glad to see you're alive. I was told that you were sent to Peru for some treatment, so things are good, I guess.
We made it back. We flew supersonic, so we're good.
You look fabulous. I've got my man Adam Bates, the principal of Suro Capital, coming up. Should be a fascinating talk. Looking forward to talking with him.
Awesome. All access starts right now. Get it done, Dan.
Thank you so much, Rye Guy. Hey, it is my pleasure to welcome in the principal of Suro Capital. That's Adam Bates. Adam, fantastic to be with you today.
Dan, great to be with you as well. And just one quick note: Nick Lidstrom was my childhood idol from a sports perspective. So glad to see a Wings fan, even though I'm a Stars fan by heart.
Well, you already loved you, but now you're one of my heroes. I got to cover Nick Lidstrom for a long time. One of the classiest athletes at any level in any sport I've ever covered. So it speaks very well of your credibility, my friend, among many other things.
Try my best. I appreciate it.
Of course, let's start off with this. Give everyone an overview of Suro if you would.
Absolutely. So Suro has been around for about a decade and a half. And we are functionally a publicly traded venture fund. What that means is you can buy our stock through any brokerage app that you have, and we provide curated access to venture capital. So for about 15 years, we've owned names like Facebook, Twitter, Lyft, Spotify, Dropbox. Nowadays, we own names like CoreWeave, OpenAI, Lime, Whoop, Liquid Death. The thought has been that for too long, there has been this part of the market in private equities that has been roughly inaccessible to the large part of the market. And we found that this publicly traded vehicle is a way not only to provide access, because I think there's multiple different ways that investors can access these types of companies, but to provide access in a way that matters from a valuation perspective. So we have a team internally that does a lot of work in the same way that every other venture capital fund does work. We source, we diligence, we execute on opportunities that we think are compelling at compelling prices. The only difference is you can go on your Robinhood app and go and buy our stock and immediately have access to all of those names. So again, I think the key reason why we exist in the market and why Suro has been around for almost 15 years now is because we have a track record. You can go and look at other folks that simply provide you access to certain names. If you look at Forge Global, for example, you can go and buy secondary shares in SpaceX. You can go and buy secondary shares in Databricks. But what you really don't have is this price discovery. And that is what my team and I really focus on, is how do we execute not just to give access, but to give access at compelling prices.
Beautifully explained, and as you mentioned, a great track record in that indeed. Adam, let's talk about what some of the companies that your fund has provided access to, and what kind of returns did you achieve?
Absolutely. So in the past, we own names, like I said, like Palantir, like Lyft. One of the things that we focus on is this late stage venture market with these companies that are likely to go public or be acquired by public companies one day. That's really our bread and butter. So if you look at Palantir, we were almost at a 7x return on that. Lyft, we had quite a good exit. Coursera, we had roughly a 6.6 multiple on invested capital. So you've seen our track record sort of through the late teens, early 2020s. And nowadays, we're in a very similar position as we were in 2020. So if you look at 2020, you had this sort of coil that was ready to extend of names like Palantir, names like Coursera. Now you have ServiceTitan, which we own, that just went public. You have CoreWeave, which is our largest investment ever, that just filed for their IPO a few weeks ago. And we have a couple of other names that are likely, we hope, to go public within the next 2 years. Like I said, names like Whoop, like Liquid Death, like OpenAI. And I think one of the things that we've been pretty good at over time is, while late stage is our bread and butter, we've identified strategies that really have worked. So take the SPAC boom, for example. We just finished out our Oklo investment and sold that for roughly a 20x return on invested capital. We then went a little bit further and said, okay, what other strategies can we execute on? So we have Suro Capital Sports, which is functionally meant to take advantage of this growing boom in not only sports betting and sports gambling, but also the growth of sports team valuations and media rights. And so we have that early stage part of the market that is very curated in a specific industry. So no matter which way you slice it, we have really focused on and executed against specific strategies that have proved out to be really good return on investments. The latest one that we've really identified is this AI infrastructure play. We've invested over $50 million in AI infrastructure over 3 key bets within CoreWeave, Vast Data, and OpenAI. If you want to own OpenAI and you're a public investor, there are really few places to do it. And I believe that we are one of the largest. We invested $17.5 million in OpenAI last quarter. We also are $12 million investors in Vast. And like I said, we have $25 million in CoreWeave.
It's a fascinating time to be alive, Adam, when it comes to AI, obviously. And let's kind of delve into the CoreWeave situation. What can we expect from the IPO?
If I could tell you exactly what was going to happen, I'd probably be retired on a beach somewhere. But what I can tell you is that if you read the S1 that they filed, you had a company that was doing $16 million in revenue that's now doing $1.9 billion in revenue. It's been reported from the information that this company should 4x their revenue in 2025. You have the recent deal with OpenAI that's roughly $11.9 billion in contract value. You have AI exploding on the enterprise side, on the consumer side. The use cases are endless. You're only getting more ROI for AI, not less. And you have these data centers that are popping up everywhere. So the demand is all out there. And what we believe to be a really good return on investment is investing in the supply side of it. So CoreWeave is a perfect example of a pure play AI tool that you can now invest in the public markets once they complete their IPO. But more importantly than that, you can invest before they IPO through our stock.
Yeah, by the way, just send me that information in a Harry Potter owl. We'll both retire. It'll be great. Let's talk about future IPOs, Adam. What companies might be next in your portfolio?
Absolutely. So if you look at our portfolio right now, names like Canva have rumored that they want to go public soon. Names like Lime, names like Liquid Death and Whoop have stated that they would like to go public someday soon. And then OpenAI, of course, is sort of the talk of the town when it comes to consumer AI and enterprise AI as well. So you have a whole litany of companies across consumer, across enterprise software, across AI that are sort of itching to go public. And you can sort of look and see the line of companies that are lined up to IPO. And I think what's interesting is ServiceTitan was sort of the beginning of the IPO window opening. Now you have CoreWeave, which is the notable blockbuster, if you will. And then you have this line of companies over the next year and a half, a lot of which we own. So again, similar to 2020, our portfolio we're excited about probably more than ever because a lot of those companies that are waiting in line or close to waiting in line, we own. And we, like I said at the beginning of the show, we own them at pretty compelling prices.
As you can say, a very tasty portfolio, which we always love. We want to keep eating that food. Let's talk about Q4 financials. Can you break down your Q4 report? What were the highlights?
Absolutely. The biggest highlights were our new investments. So like I said, investing in CoreWeave, investing in OpenAI, very big for us. We're excited to take advantage of the AI infrastructure play. Now, our financials aren't similar to many others in the public markets. We are an investment fund. The key things to look at are the new investments that we're making, our outlook on sort of where our portfolio sits in the broader market. And I think the most important thing to take a look at when you look at our Q4 announcements is, okay, the top 5 positions that Suro currently owns, those are top 5 positions that we believe have a pretty good chance of entering the public markets one day. And like I said, we invested them in compelling prices, and we're really excited.
Very exciting times at Suro Capital. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Adam. Thank you so much for your time and your love for the perfect human, Nick Lidstrom.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
It was all mine. That was the principal of Suro Capital, Adam Bates. The NASDAQ ticker is SSS. Let's send it back to the Sausage King of Chicago and the stock market, the great Ryan Faluna.